Talkin with Topher is sponsored by slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. Put in promo code Topher for 10% off your purchase before you check out. New Hampshire Vape Gallery and naturalbossnh.com. More on that later. Let's get into episode 122.
At it again.
What is happening, TwT fans? It is so good to be back on this August 4th, 2022. And how are all of you? So far, everything's going really good. I had a great weekend. It was busy, a lot crammed into it. And so far, so good with the start of the week. But before I get into any of that, let me start off by saying thank you. Thank you to all my subscribers out there. You're what keeps me coming back here week after week, and I greatly appreciate you. All right, go ahead and share, rate, and review the podcast. Get it out into the algorithm. Help me make this podcast bigger, and that's how you can help me. All right, if you are new to the podcast, you need to be hitting that subscribe button, okay? Click it, smash it, lick it. Step on it, whatever you want to do to that subscribe button, just click it, okay? It's the one thing I'm asking everybody to do. It's free for you. This is not free to do, so that's what you can do to keep me coming back here, as well as you can also give a thumbs up for the video. You can leave comments in the comment section, and I greatly appreciate everybody who does those things. Thank you so much, as always. If you want to get more involved with the podcast, that's right. Maybe you had a struggle. You got through it on the other side. Maybe you went through something that was traumatic and it was a learning experience for you. Send it on over to talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. That's right. talkinwithtopher@gmail.com is the official email of the podcast where you can ask for advice. You can leave questions, comments, and of course, you can always tell your story. And if I pick it out, you put Slow Down in the subject line, you're going to get a free piece of Slow Down merchandise. All right, so go again. That email is talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. That's talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. And if you want to follow me, I'm on social media just like everyone else. But I'm there. I am there. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and Facebook. Go follow. I appreciate it. And one more time, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and Facebook. All right. And now with all that out of the way, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is going to be with a guest. That's right. My guest, Adam Arthur, took time out of his evening and showed up at New Hampshire Vape Gallery. Yeah, so Saturday night, I had to stay after work late because I felt that I'm not going to be able to always have people over my house. I got stuff going on. Everybody's got stuff going on. So I wanted to make it kind of easier for some people that I want to have on that live closer to the shop come on the podcast. So I got permission from the owner to have the podcast recorded at New Hampshire Vape Gallery. So, to put it in context, this is a late night for me, okay? I'm at work all day helping customers. I'll be honest with you, I'm a robot when I'm at work. I say the exact same thing to pretty much every single customer every single day of my life. It gets very repetitive. So, by the end of a day, I don't want to talk to anybody. So, I had to flip a switch. So I had to set up the podcast. I had to sit down with Adam, and we had to record the podcast. And so by the time we started recording, it was around 9, and then that ended around 11. And then I didn't even get on the road until 12:15 Sunday morning, right? Because it was overnight, So I didn't go to bed until like 2:30. Had to wake up at 6:30, then grocery shop, and then come home, go see my parents, hang out with them till 5:30, then got home Sunday at 6. So the weekend was super crammed, and I've been exhausted ever since. But, now I'm going to be on vacation. So when you're watching this on this Thursday morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it happens to be, I'm probably sanding my bumper on my car right now, trying to, get the plasti dip on the bumper. I got some clear coat for that, so hopefully it gives it a shine. And you want to know what all the purpose of this is? There's some chipping on it that's driving me nuts. This is cheaper than paint, and I want my license plate holes in my bumper gone so that I can put my sideways license plate on. I'm going to, the tow hitch. So I'm going to screw a license plate holder into my tow hitch and get rid of all the holes in the front of the bumper, and then just spray it with they call it plasti dip. So I'm going to spray that. I got a little gun thing that goes over it so I don't have to sit there with my finger. And then I'm going to clear coat it a couple times. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it doesn't look horrible. But yeah, so that's what I got planned. I'm going to go some fights Friday night in Manchester. I'm going to be taking my dad out for his birthday. Even though I was there on Sunday, his present, I'm taking him out to eat. And then I don't know what I'm doing on my last day of my vacation. I'm probably sanding my floors or stripping my floors and waxing them again, maybe doing some vacuuming and some just some cleaning up around the house. And then after that, I'll take it easy. But I'm going to try to fit in some jujitsu because later on this month, I got to cover for the owner. So unfortunately, I'm going to miss 2 classes this month. So I want to try and make those up. But instead of me rambling on and on and on and on and on, like I always do, let's get into today's episode. Talking with Adam Arthur. Do you have anything you want to plug and promote before we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Chris said, my name is Adam, but I make music with the group we go by SG603, and my stage name is Chef. So you can find our music on all platforms at SG603 Music, also on Instagram at 603 Music, SG603 Music. And my personal Instagram tag is chef_SG603. So you can find all of our stuff there. We're doing some pretty cool stuff with just using some more new school sounds, but infusing kind of a conscientious message with it and kind of, trying to bring the collective together and get people into a place where, not everyone's hating everyone all the time because the world kind of needs that nowadays.
Yes, it does. Yeah, the world really does need that nowadays. That's fantastic, man. I do have to say I've listened to a bunch of your tracks, and I absolutely love all of your work, especially Shroom Walk. That thing rattles my car. Of course, you'll be able to find all of those links in the description below the video. We'll have all that posted and up on screen for you. I try to get that all situated. So a little bit of rapport. You've actually been coming to New Hampshire Vape Gallery since we opened.
I think I actually came here before you guys opened, technically, but not to, just
no.
seeing Joe set up the process and whatnot.
Joe knew you long before
right.
I showed up. He used to tell me stories about how he would help you out.
Yeah, so I think my mom knows Joe through just, local connections or whatever. So he knew of me. So then, we met and got along really well. Joe's an awesome guy. So it just connected from there.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then you were coming in actually when there was still no age.
Yeah. So I remember I was coming in here and right before he opened, I wasn't even 18 yet. I was 17. And it was right as those laws were passing.
Yep.
And fortunately, my birthday happened few months, whatever, before those laws passed. And then I just had turned 21 before it had changed over to 21. So it was I just scraped by. But it's so
such
funny.
A wild time.
I used to be I remember I was 15 years old going to vape stores, vape shops, and it was, no problem. And it was so funny. One place, I was 18 and they had seen my ID and they knew me by first name basis. And it was, they just wouldn't sell to me one day because I had my ID and I was, just blown away because I'm like, dude, you've been selling me vape stuff since I was 15.
Right.
Like,
Well,
I've been buying it for 3 years.
that was the big transition that a lot of people had to go through, and it was just so crazy when I would have to do the same thing to customers that I was selling to, and all of a sudden the age changed.
Right,
And
you're like, I can't sell it anymore.
Can't do it anymore. So it's just really cool to build some rapport. You know, we've had many conversations here over the years.
Absolutely.
It's just been I do have to say I dropped the ball on the people that you were doing music with. I never connected any of it. And I just now I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But back then I was like, I never made the connection. You
Yep.
know, Joe knew more than I did, but
That's probably a fault of my own for just not self-promoting as much as I should be.
I mean, self-promoting, sometimes it's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
Well, it's, you want to go and tell everyone about it, but then you don't want to not ruin someone's day, but you don't want to interrupt what other people have going on.
Right.
You know, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm annoying this dude. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to, because it's like, if you want to get out there, you have to put yourself out there. No one else is going to do it for you. So.
Exactly. And that's like, I listened to a few people and they were like, you're going to get out there, you're going to try and promote yourself, and you want to be doing it. They said like 3 to 5 times a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do that. That's so annoying.
Full credit to the twins who I make music with on Instagram, Lil Ro SG603 and Big A SG603. They are so much better than me at that social aspect of it and
really?
going out and connecting. Yeah, dude, I'm a recluse. I like to chill in my basement and make art and music. And like, I love people, but at the same time, I like love being away from people.
No, I completely agree. I wish that I had somebody who could do it for me, because but the guy said you have to promote yourself to the point where people will hear about you, then people will look into you, then people will dislike you. But don't worry about that disliking and the people unfollowing, because they'll come back if you just stay persistent.
And dude, you know what? We're already starting to realize some people who, way back in high school when we first started and weren't taking it quite as seriously would just like, maybe not to us or whatever, but just, you hear things and they would like put us down for doing it. Like, oh, who are these kids to be making hip hop music and stuff like that? And it's so funny. Like, so many of those people now come up to us like, oh, you guys are doing great things. Like, I've been supporting you since day one. And I'm like, no, you haven't, but I appreciate your support now.
You're like, I totally know that you said all this bad shit about me.
Like, no, you weren't.
No, you were not. And now you're like trying to catch my coattails.
Right. But honestly, we appreciate all the love. We don't even care. It's like, the past is the past. Let's move
exactly.
forward.
But that was the one thing I started to learn when I first got into all of this, was that you just have to promote.
Absolutely.
And whether or not you get annoying, you have to ignore all of that, and you just have to kind of get through it.
David Goggins, for an example, like,
amazing.
He'll tell you when you push it to the edge of the limits of what you can do, people won't like you.
Right.
To paraphrase what he says.
Right.
But,
yeah.
And that's very true. It's like, if you're doing as much work as you should be doing, other people will kind of get offended because they recognize how little they're doing in comparison.
And that's usually what it comes down to.
It really is, because
really
everything,
jealousy.
Right. Well, everything is reflection of self. You know what I mean? Someone talks bad to you. You can choose to get angry and react in that way and return their energy, or you can react in a kind manner, and it just completely deadens and stops the situation, right, in its tracks.
Right
in its tracks. So, like, I always say, like, the way that you perceive and react to a situation are actually what determines the outcome. Because if you react in a situation 2 different ways, there's 2 different outcomes, and it's on you. The only part of life you can control is how you react to like external stimulus.
Right, and that's why I like jujitsu so much.
Right.
Because now if something crazy was to pop off, I feel like I would be able to, I don't know exactly like, the craziest, I'm not saying like gunfire and stuff like that, but like if someone gets upset with me, I'm a lot more calm now.
Yeah, because if it comes down to it, they don't know what they're doing, and you do a little bit at least. Yeah.
I'm like,
and I've actually been looking into starting to do jujitsu for similar reasons. Just, I'm not the biggest guy, whatever, and like, I'm a loving person. I never want to start a problem with anyone, but I recognize everyone gets backed into a corner once in a while.
Yeah.
And I just, I'm not really worried about myself. Like, I've taken an ass beating, I'll do it again. Doesn't really matter. But I'm looking at it more so like, is like, you know, if you have a girlfriend, a wife, kids, anything like that, it's like, okay, well, if something happens to me, something happens to me, but I'm not going to let something happen to you.
Right.
So, you know, that's
so
kind of my
be able
logic
to defend
on it.
yourself
Exactly.
and them.
Exactly.
Yep. Jiu-jitsu is amazing. I've been doing it for 7 years now. It doesn't even matter where you want to go. We can talk about it after, but I'm telling you right now, if you want to get into it, the best time to start is when you're thinking about getting into it because you're ready.
Right.
You're ready to do it. And it's going to send, I mean, you already check your ego as it is, which is, you know what I mean? That's like the first step. If you got to check your ego at the door. That's why, like, we'll get a lot of wrestlers in, but wrestlers, some of them make it, some of them don't. But I will say the ones that make it are nasty. They are not the worst. They are like the craziest. They got the scrambles. When they hold you down, it's just so intense. Like, you always know a wrestler.
Wrestling and jiu-jitsu are going to develop slightly different holds and slightly different skills and stuff like that, and even slightly different muscle groups.
Well, you also have to remember, as a wrestler, you never want to be on your back.
Right.
In jiu-jitsu, that's actually a comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but I'm comfortable there.
You should, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If someone can, if they're actually like, if it came down to like MMA style, I would never go to guard in my back, because then I'm going to get railed in the face with elbows and fists. You know what I mean?
Depends if the person's trained or not.
Well, I can argue that there's been some fights where like people go on their back and they've gotten their face bashed in and they've had to let go of the guard and move on. I'm not gonna name names because I can't.
No, of course.
But there's always that. I'm not like that type of a situation like out on the street. I don't think I'll ever be pulling guard. You know what I mean? That's not going to be a strong position for me.
Right. So more so, I guess the point that I was trying to kind of get at is that if you do end up in that position,
right,
you're a lot more comfortable and well prepared to be in that position than the average person. And you know what you can do, unlike some untrained people who are literally just going to get teed off on and are like, oh, there's nothing I can do about this.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
I see what you're talking about.
Right. I definitely worded it.
No. It's fine. My brain goes, don't pull guard. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Smart. Survival instinct.
Don't do that. Throw them, get in their side, do something.
Right.
But don't be pulling guard out in the streets.
Yeah. And I'm also talking out my ass. I don't know much about jiu-jitsu.
But I do think that if you want to get into it, it's a great thing. I believe martial arts is great.
Yeah.
I wish that, like, you know, I can't reflect on anything that I did or didn't do in my past and be like, I wish I did this, but I do wish that I stuck with karate. You know what I mean? Even though it was just karate, if I just wish I sometimes had that mentality that I have now, because if I had stuck it out, it probably would have helped me, but I probably also wouldn't be where I am today if I had done that.
See, that's what I was going to say. I always remember that, like I was saying earlier with the reacting to, to the stimuli, your choices you've made have got you to where you are now. Right. If it played out differently, the whole butterfly effect, if you made one different decision, who knows what would have happened. So it's like, if you're happy with where you're at in life, it's like, why even regret it? You know what I mean? You're doing jiu-jitsu now. You're training now.
Yep.
You're dealing with it now. And like maybe some of the things you went through because of not having that thing to stay dedicated to and, take up some of your free time and whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have played out how it is now. And maybe you would still have certain problems that you don't have because it didn't play out in that way. You know what I mean? So like we all have to hit a rock bottom. Maybe your rock bottom wouldn't have come until a lot later.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then you don't have as much time to correct it. You know what I mean?
Right, because I don't know if I would have still picked up drinking. We don't know if that road was that road was probably already written for me in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't matter if I stayed with karate or not. That road could have been, always there for me. I've seen movies and stuff with that. It's like, oh, we take this different road and all of a sudden it's either worse or you're in the exact same spot you already were. It didn't really get any better because most of the time the grass isn't greener on the other side.
Right.
Yeah. No, I feel that too. But I love jiu-jitsu, man. It is one of my favorite things in the world. is I'm taking some days off from here, and I'm packing in more jiu-jitsu, and we're going to the fights in Manchester on Friday, because one of my classmates, CJ, is going to be in a kickboxing match.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because he does
cool.
he does Muay Thai, he does jiu-jitsu, he does boxing, he does all kinds
He's
of
a modern
shit.
fighter.
He's doing it all, and he's doing his very first fight.
See, that's
in Manchester. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I hope it goes well for him. That's one thing I feel like that the UFC has really greatly, and like, other big MMA organizations have really changed about like the whole perspective, I guess, of fighting. You're almost inadequately trained nowadays if you're not trained in everything. Like, right? Like 20 years ago, it's like, if you were really good at karate, you could probably, fare pretty well. Now it's like so many people are trained in so many things. If you go into an MMA fight and you're only trained in one thing, you're probably not faring too well unless you're like the pinnacle of that thing.
Yeah, and even at that point, you're in an MMA octagon.
Right.
You don't know how to do legs. You don't know how to take someone to the ground.
Right.
If that other person knows how to, you might be a great boxer, but if that person knows how to take you down, you're going to have a real hard time hitting them.
Yeah, definitely.
If they don't want to stand up with you, unless, of course, you got knockout power. You know what I mean?
Because I was thinking, like, you do have your people like Derek Lewis and like even like Izzy, like Adesanya or what, like he, is like so good at punching and kicking that he really doesn't like, past couple fights, maybe it would have helped if he had some ground or whatever.
Right, yes.
But like, he really doesn't tend to need it against most people just because he's so dominant on his feet.
Yep.
But then I think there's another part playing into that where it's like almost like these dudes want to stand with him because they want to prove that they can when they just realistically can't.
Well, did you see that Sugar Sean O'Malley is fighting, what's his name? I can't remember the guy's name, but I think it's UFC 277. Don't quote me. I'm bad at this shit.
Me too.
But whoever his opponent is, everybody's like, everybody wants to see Sugar Sean like grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that everybody's saying Dana White had a case of the fuckets, and he was like, no, you're fighting this guy, and he's like a number one.
Okay.
And it's just it's one of those fights where everybody's like, if he doesn't pull it off, he's just gonna get destroyed in there. And now you've taken this person that's growing and bringing in so much, and you've wrecked him.
Right.
So but I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. But what I'm saying is that like that kind of sucks.
Right.
Because I guess in boxing they build people up more.
Yeah. Well, so I see both sides of that, right? So if someone is so dominant in their fight, in their weight class, with the people that they've been fighting, I can see, jumping from like, and I don't know how he was ranked, but let's say like you're ranked 10th and you jump up to a second position fight against like, like the contender for champ or like the second dude, whatever. I can see that happening because it's like, first of all, what the fans want.
Yep.
Especially with someone like Sean O'Malley, who's such a spectacle.
Yeah.
But then also it's just kind of like, okay, well, are we going to make this dude just beat the shit out of all of these like little dudes? Or are we going to give him the shot that he wants at a bigger fight?
That's the other thing too. I guess he's been complaining about wanting fights.
Mm-hmm.
So Dana was like, here you go.
And then, so it was kind of a fuck you, like, exactly. Oh, you want to fight? I'll give you a fight.
It was like one of those. It was like he was asking, he wasn't getting, and Dana's like, meh, here you go. And everybody's like, what are you doing? And then there's another fight between two other guys, and it's another kind of outweighed fight or uneven, I guess, in the ranking system, and everybody's like, well, what if what Dana thinks is going to happen doesn't, and both of them turn around and take those titles?
I mean,
I was like,
hope they get a bonus out of him too.
Holy shit! Can you imagine that though? Like Like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna throw them to the wolves, and then they turn around and they just destroy the wolves. I think it's gonna be a great UFC though. It's not stacked, but there's a couple good ones on there, especially Pena and damn it, Nunes.
Oh, okay.
Dude, that's gonna be. Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's gonna be sick. That's gonna be a real good fight. Pena seems very angry. I think her name's Pena. Her last name.
I'm so bad.
I'm
with
very
names,
bad with names.
anything.
I'm trying. Though. I'm trying because I listen to a lot of MMA fighting content, so I try to retain the names. And now I'm trying to remember them.
That's like the one thing I'm just so bad. Anything. Names. I'm so bad with names. I don't know why it is. Like I'll recognize a person's face for 5-10 years of not seeing them, even if they look completely different. I'll still be like, oh, I know you
because of facial features. They stick.
But not with names. I won't like. There's so many people who come up to me from like, let's say high school, and they're like so pumped to see me, and I know I should know what their name is, and I just don't, and I'm like, oh, bro, what's up? Hey. How you doing?
Right. You give the friendly.
You just have to call him bro.
Oh man, come on. Tell me your name real quick.
I had this one kid who was like, dude, you really don't remember me? I sat with lunch at you for like a year, and I was like, dude, I was fucked up. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
In school?
Yeah. He like sat at my lunch table for like a year, I guess, and I just didn't remember him.
If somebody was to say that to me right now, I'd be like, dude, that was 25 years ago.
Okay, so to be fair, this is like, this was like 2 years after I graduated, so I like should have remembered.
You should have remembered, okay. Because I would be like, I don't remember 25 years ago. No, Never mind the fact that I was wasted in school anyways.
No, see, that's more what I'm saying. I was just like 100%. Fucked up going through high school.
Oh yeah, tripping on acid, all kinds of stupid shit in school. Stupid shit.
One of my good friends.
Go on.
One of my good friends on his 18th birthday, our senior year, took, I believe, 2 tabs of acid before going to school, and then a tab after every period of the day.
After every period?
Every period. So there's 7 periods in the day where we went to school.
Holy
So he ended
shit.
up taking, or no, he must have taken 3 before, because I remember he took a total of a 10 strip just throughout the day.
Throughout the fucking day,
and was just chilling, just walking around, cooling. I'm like, dude, you are crazy.
The most I ever took was 2 gel tabs, man. And that was a wild ride in school.
The most I ever took was in between... This sounds so stupid. In between 20 and 30 doses, but that left me in a 1.5 long psychosis.
Yeah, but that's not before. That's not school though.
No, that's not.
Oh,
school.
Okay.
God,
so you're just saying that's the most that you've taken ever.
Oh yeah. In general.
How many was that?
Yeah, I'm estimating in between 20 and 30. So the reason for that.
Paper tabs,
yes,
gel tabs,
paper.
Okay.
It was blotter, and the reason that I
yep.
don't know the actual amount is because I was being a dumbass and I had a bunch of like little slivers of paper and then one little square left for my sheet. So I just like took the little square and I'm like, oh, that's already a pretty big dose. Let me eat all of these little shavings.
Oh, that's like
and
eating
so,
all the fucking chaff at the bottom of a mushroom bag.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I did with acid. And it just like,
holy shit.
Within 15 minutes, I was like reliving like past experiences and like
within 15 minutes?
15 minutes, I was tripping
Holy
harder than I had
shit,
ever
dude.
tripped before by far. Yeah, it was crazy.
That must have been so overwhelming at a point. Like,
I could instantaneously feel it. Like literally as soon as I put it in my mouth, I was like, oh, I fucked up.
Holy shit, dude. That is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The most I've ever done is a 10 strip.
Yeah.
At once.
Yeah. And a 10 strip is
now,
more than enough.
Holy shit. Now tell me about this being trapped in the psychosis. What?
Oh man, it's a really long story. But
yeah,
so
good.
basically, what happened is I took that, me and my buddies, backtrack a little bit. I think I slowly was creeping into the psychosis unknowingly.
Okay.
And I think that was kind of the straw on the camel's back, so to speak. That broke the camel's back.
Broke the camel, yeah.
So I had a trip before where I just like, for lack of better terms, was like possessed by something and was just writing and just wrote this huge thing. And then, so like I said, within 15 minutes, I was tripping very, very hard. Me and my buddies decide to throw on The Matrix. which at that point I had never seen before.
Oh, okay.
Or like maybe I did as a kid, didn't remember it type thing. And about halfway through the movie, I'm just lost in it. And I randomly, they pause it. We want to go outside, like smoke a couple bongs, whatever. And I'm randomly like, boys, read this. And the shit that I had written the time before was like so spot on to the Matrix that I had this weird thing that I was like, oh, we're in the Matrix. Like, this is all programmed. Like, and it wasn't that night. It wasn't even eerie. I actually had an amazing trip. It was just extremely, extremely intense. Oh, wow. But so all my buddies go to bed, you know, we took them kind of late into the day. So it's probably like 2, 3 before people are in the morning, before people are really going to bed. I'm just laying there still tripping balls, like just still lost in it. Just like, you know, reality split apart for me at this point. So the next morning, my buddy's parents are coming home and they're like, yo, go boys, we gotta, you know, clear out.
Gotta clear out, yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I live like 2 minutes down the road. I'm still tripping, but I'm like, I can make it on a 2-minute drive. Super dumb. Don't recommend it, guys.
Nope.
But I get home and then I go back into my field. And this is like I said, this whole story is just crazy. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. But I get home, I go back into like, I have a field behind my house. The sun is just beaming out. I like take my shirt off. I'm just chilling in the sun. Then I look into the sun and it was so fucked up, man. It was like my eyes got glued to this shit.
Oh no.
And I was literally looking at the sun for probably like a minute long. Just like
that's way too long.
Full like, you know, like midday. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back in the house. So go back in the house. I'm still like pretty trippy, but I'm like, okay, I'm starting to come down. What I didn't realize is I wasn't going to be able to sleep for the next 6 nights, a single second.
What?
Didn't sleep a single second for 6 days.
What was the amount, the length of the actual trip? So you said you started feeling it 15 minutes after you took it. Wow, how long before it stopped?
So here's the thing. I don't know because it kept me up that whole time, and I was still like feeling it, but mentally I didn't have like visuals and stuff anymore.
Okay, so the
but I was
visuals
just
were gone.
Very mentally feeling it, and like I couldn't get my mind to calm down, no matter what I did.
So sleep deprived.
Yeah, and so then
holy shit.
At like 6 days in, I started going into sleep deprivation psychosis, like and like hallucinating. So that's why it's hard to determine when like the tripping stopped, because that started.
Because it's sleep deprived.
Which was way trippier than acid could be.
It's
like,
really bad for you.
It was really crazy. And then like a few days later, I don't even know how it took this long because I was just fucked, but I'm kind of just like, you know, like navigating around my family, not talking to my friends, like just like whatever. And then my mom and sister like are like, yo, what's going on? And I couldn't even like talk to them at this point. I thought I was like mentally, I thought I was, but I find out later they told me I was literally like mumbling to them, like not even saying words.
Oh, you weren't saying words?
No.
Oh, dude.
And this is like over a week after I took the dose. And so then I'm in and out of the hospital, bro. Like I turned out I think more so from the sleep deprivation than the acid.
Yeah.
My brain started swelling.
Oh, Jesus.
And I got inflammation in my brain. So they were treating me for that. And the whole time I was just convinced I was in some type of like science experiment. And like, I was like, they were testing on me because I was like tapped into this higher shit, which I was. I'm not going to like honestly renege on that part. Like, I think I was tapped into some higher shit, but
oh my shit. You were definitely tapped into some higher shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But it was a really wild experience. And like, through the process, I started reliving some of my traumas from the past, like as I would dream when I started to be able to sleep again. But it was the craziest thing, man. Like I would go to bed. I would wake up from my bed in the past, live that day, having no point I had lived past that point. Like traumatic experiences, all in my dreams, but it seemed so real I couldn't differentiate. And then I came to a conclusion that basically I was being shown all of my traumas to heal them and move past them. So I started making lists of all of the fucked up stuff that had happened and at least 3 good things that came out of it, and finding the light in every dark situation in my life. when I started doing that, I rapidly started coming out of the psychosis.
Shut up.
Hand
Really?
To God. Hand to God.
That is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It sounds like gratitude journaling.
Yeah, like essentially.
Just being grateful for something,
Yeah,
even
no.
though you got all the stuff going on.
So I think what it really
Wow.
was is my mind was so bogged up on negativity that I couldn't see any light in the world at the time type thing. So it was like a way of being like, yo, dude, look, like all of these bad things that happened aren't bad. Like they just brought you to here where you're supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so like I had this conversation with like one of my close friends whose brother rather took his life when we were in 7th grade, took his own life. And he was like, you know, he brings up that situation and he's like, well, what light can you find in this situation? Right.
Right.
And then I remind him, your mom has started an organization that has literally changed and made new legislature for like to put programs into school to teach like
to
recognition
try and stop this.
And like has made huge wave. The organization, if anyone wants to look into it, is called Connor's Climb. It's a great organization. They're doing great things. You know, whatever.
All right.
But
Oh, no shit. That's definitely
so
something
yeah,
positive.
but then
from a very
also
negative
both
situation.
me and my good friend have had a lot of people come to us who are, you know, maybe in very depressive states, that since we've been through this, and we've also lost friends to suicide, unfortunately, and like since
Yeah.
we've been
Yeah,
through
we
it
all
and
have.
experienced it, you know, like we've been more able to help people. And I'm like, bro, how many lives have we and your mom together saved because that happened?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the darkest thing always has light coming from it. We live in a dualistic world. You know what I mean? Every light has a dark, every good has an evil. So it's like we can focus on the negative, or we can, you know, choose to tune into the light that's always there.
Yeah, it is always there, but for some reason, most of us get sucked into that darkness and we dwell on things we didn't do. And
No, it's really easy to, and I don't know if it boils down to evolution, and if you were on your toes back in the day and like really worried about stuff, you're probably going to survive longer. Like, I don't know if it boils into that and like just like how we evolved as people.
I think it's because there's everything is a lot easier, and we're not worried about wolves.
Well, right.
And
So we don't have
shit.
artificial things. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, back when we actually had like the wolves and lions and stuff to worry about,
Right.
that's what we're worrying about. But now we worry about bullshit, so
Yeah.
we can't find good in any
I
situation.
worry about my podcast not recording. I'm freaking out. You know, like silly shit like that. But
Yeah.
like that's what we worry about today, and that's what we drive. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed with everything going on.
Yeah.
Which is why I started journaling like 3 months ago.
Yeah, it's great, man.
I had to find positivity in
Right.
every day. I had
Right.
to, because I was like, no, it's not working for me.
So I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not necessarily religious, but every night I'll thank, and I'll call it by a million different names, but God, so to speak, for just simple things throughout the day. And I try to do that before I go to bed, but also in the mornings when I wake up. And like, I've noticed if you start your day with like being grateful for something, and like today is a great example. I woke up pissed off today. Couldn't tell
really?
you why.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you why. But I did that, you know, I expressed things that I'm grateful for just internally. Or if it helps you, you can let it out. But either way, and then just did like a few meditative breaths, and I've had a great day. You know, it'll really turn your day around to just like take a second and be like, okay, I'm pissed for no reason. My body doesn't feel great, but I woke up in a bed. My room's not 1,000 degrees. It's 1,000 degrees outside. Like it's a, you know, living temperature in here. Like I have food downstairs. I have water.
Yep.
Like it's like I have so many things in, and that's like just listing basic stuff that everyone has. I could go into like, oh, I have a music studio. Like I have people that tune into my music, and really I am able to impact their lives on some level on like a pretty daily basis. So it's like stuff like that is like extra, but everyone has a lot to be grateful for.
Slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. That's slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. You're not sure how to spell it? It's right here at the bottom of the screen. Or you can click the link in the description below the video. I don't know what else I need to tell you about this website except for the fact it's absolutely amazing. They've got the greatest, best clothing I've ever seen. It's amazing. Their tattoo-inspired prints are phenomenal. Their leggings are great. They've got all these new hats. They got new skateboards, new stuff coming out all the time. And now Tony Savaro is doing all of the Talking with Topher art. I can't get behind this company more than I already have. It's absolutely amazing. And now, because of Slowdown, everything that you've done for Slowdown, and now Slowdown is giving me the opportunity to give you 10% off your purchase. Woo! Yeah! 10% off that purchase before you check out. Put in the promo code TOPHER and get 10% off that purchase of the skateboard, the clothing, the beachwear, the sweatpants. You name it, you put it in that cart before you check out. TOPHER, and you're going to get 10% off that purchase. So go to slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. You're not sure how to spell it? It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Or click the link in the description below the video today and get your Slowdown clothing with 10% off that purchase. And I just want to thank my sponsors for always supporting the podcast. And I want to thank you, the listeners, for supporting my sponsors. New Hampshire Vape Gallery is located at 180 Lafayette Road, Seabrook, New Hampshire, down the street from Home Depot and next to Smoke Rings, where we are open 7 days a week from 10:30 to 8 p.m. And you can give us a call, 603-814-4171. Oh, man, we have got it all. We've got everything. You need to come to this location. You need to come in and see the guys at the gallery. Why? Because you can only get this stuff here. Flavored e-juice, menthol flavors. How about flavored disposables? You need some flavored high nicotine e-juice? We've got it. It's all in stock today. We've got all the varieties, all the best companies, and now we have all the best hemp products. That's right. Hemp is legal federally in 52 states. So guess what? None of these products are illegal. They get you high, and they're coming from the actual hemp plant. That makes them amazing to use. So come on into New Hampshire Vape Gallery today and see me, Topher, or the guys at the gallery to help you find what you're looking for. Are you just trying to get off of cigarettes today, or are you just trying to get off of nicotine? Whatever your battle is, we are there to help you get through it the best to our ability. So come on in to New Hampshire Vape Gallery, located at 180 Lafayette Road, Seabrook, New Hampshire, down the street from Home Depot and next to Smoke Rings, where we're open 7 days a week from 10:30 to 8 p.m. And feel free to give us a call, 603-814-4171. And as always, I look forward to seeing you there. NaturalBossNH.com. You're not sure how to spell it? It's right here at the bottom of the screen. Or you can click the link in the description below the video to get to this website. All right, all links are below the video. Go click this one. This one's special. Why is it special? Because it's small business. It's woman owned. It's absolutely amazing organic products. You gotta buy them. You gotta try them. I'm telling you, I won't steer you wrong. You need to repair your dry skin, get the salve. Once your skin's repaired, get the body balm to keep it repaired. The lip balm will help your lips from cracking during this brutal warmth and sun. That dries out your lips, and then we're getting ready for the cold to come in, even though it's so sad to say, but it's true. The cold is coming, and guess what? Your lips are going to be cracking. So go get that lip balm and smack it on your lips and keep them nice and moist and keep them from cracking. But maybe you got a beard like I do and you want to make it look healthy and smooth and not snarly. Well, the beard oil is going to help you with that, and it smells really nice. Also, the foot and body soak. That's right. You want to melt those stressful days away? Well, then get yourself some of this amazing body and foot soak. This stuff is going to melt those stressful days away, and now you are supporting a small business. So go to this website today, naturalbossnh.com. Click that link in the description below the video and go get yourself some amazing organic products and support your small businesses today. Yeah, no, and I agree with you 100%. And I think looking at that and realizing it would help everybody. You know, I do the same thing. I'll be in a funk, super upset about shit, and then I'm like, wait a minute. I have a job. I got this. Right. I got this going. Things are going for me, but it's just not going exactly how I want it to. But if you keep working at it and get over the hurdles, I think you'll eventually get there.
And I think there's something also to be said, kind of delving back into like spirituality a little bit, like with just surrendering. Oh, like, you know, like there's certain shit that's out of our control that there's just no point in trying to control. You know what I mean? You can't choose when it's high tide. You can't choose when it's low tide. You can choose when you go to the beach, though.
Yes, you can.
You know what I mean? It's like, 100%. Don't try to control what you can't control and waste time on that. Focus on, you know, what you can control and
and that's where that's what I had to find. Because I was always trying to control what I couldn't.
And I have the same problem as I think we all do.
And it's like I had to let go of that. And I'm not big on God and stuff like that. I mean, if you watched last week's podcast, there was a priest and his wife that got robbed, and I cheered on the thief. They should be paying taxes. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. I don't like it. But I had to start doing that for myself.
I think that there's a very, very important distinction in between religion and the church.
Yeah.
Religion is a beautiful thing, and the church is fucked.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
like I love surrendering. I love doing all those things, but I just can't believe in their foundations.
I totally agree with that. And one thing that I've found through my life and just my experiences is like, I do believe in a higher power, but I believe that higher power is not found in a church. It's not found in a synagogue. It's not found in anything like that. It's found internal.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
I believe that. So my philosophy on, I guess, like God is kind of like we're all one strand of a fractal pattern, right?
Okay.
So you have a fractal. We're all like one little strand in that fractal of infinity. The whole fractal, the infinite fractal, if you're like a DMT type fractal, right? Just an infinite fractal. That's God.
Okay.
Everything in existence is one strand of basically the web of like consciousness.
Okay. I'm following.
That's kind of how I look at it. So it's like kind of in a Native American like approach, you know, like they believed like everything is conscious from like the water in this can to the can itself. Mm-hmm. There is some level of life inside of that. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but also I believe that it doesn't really matter what you call God or the creator or anything like that.
No.
Or even if you believe in it, I think it more so matters that you have something to believe in that keeps you going.
Yes. And we all need something
regardless
to believe
of
in.
what that is. And I think that religion and spirituality and things of that nature can like fill that void, so to speak, in a lot of people's lives. But it could be something as simple as I really like my garden. Yeah, and I really want to keep my garden.
It doesn't have to be anything
nice.
crazy.
Exactly.
It can be very simple. You don't have to have a fucking 5-page paragraph on what you are grateful for. Right. It's literally just, what are you grateful for? Are you grateful that you woke up this morning? Mm-hmm. Write that down. Mm-hmm. I do 5 things every morning. I take 5-10 minutes, think about it, you know, and I write things down. Sometimes it's 2 sentences. Sometimes it's 1 word. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. I just do it every day, trying to get that into my head, because when I had to surrender and realize that I couldn't drink alcohol anymore, which was one of the worst things for me to find out ever, you know, because I love drinking and it was such a part of me. But when I finally realized and surrendered to it, I was like, oh, all right, I can do this. So I can surrender to something. I'm not doing the same thing everybody else is doing and going to this God thing. I'm looking for something I know there's something greater than me. That, you know, there has to be. Right? I mean, they just found some solar thing in the fucking, with that telescope, some supernova they supposedly found. They're digging through space. So there's definitely something bigger than me and bigger than us. But I don't want to say that it's a person. I
don't believe,
you know?
I don't believe God or anything like that to be a person. I honestly think the only possibility of God being a person, how me and you like tangibly think of a person, is that this is literally a simulation and there was some really, really smart man who programmed this reality. And that's the only way I can foresee like there being a like man or a person,
right? Exactly,
that like is the overseer. But like that's why I like went into like, I don't think most religious people really see God like that. Like, and I'm in the past I've been like, oh, you guys are dumb, you believe in this dude sitting in the clouds. But when you really sit back with like most like, you know, aware, not radical religious people, they don't think of God in that sense. They think of him, or I say him because it's
right.
Like,
well, that's
they
been,
think of God.
Let's be real.
Like,
that's been embedded in us.
Right.
That it's a male.
Right.
And in whatever religion or whatever color you are, that it's always a male, and it's always that group of and that color.
So I think part of that is because of when it started.
Right.
And back then, no one would listen if it was a female. But then, like, that also depends culturally, because you could look at places like, you know, like India with like Hinduism and stuff like that, and like where they have a lot of gods, and even Egypt, you know, like they had gods and goddesses, Romans, gods and goddesses.
Yep.
It wasn't until really more recently
right.
that like they boiled it down to like there's this dude, and that's like because it was modern religion was made kind of to be a control mechanism.
That's what I believe it to be.
Yeah, so
period.
It's like it was made to be a control mechanism, and if you're thinking from the mind of the people at that time, they wouldn't be controlled by a woman.
Right.
Like
100%.
As fucked up as that is to say nowadays, maybe, like back then.
I mean, Mary got pregnant without sex. So, you know what I'm saying? But they're out there, you know, touching little children.
I think it was on Rogan, but I did see there was that girl, I forget where it was, but that like got stabbed in the stomach and the blade happened to like have semen on it or something, and she got pregnant. And Joe was like, if there is a second like coming of Christ, this is probably it.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I swear. Maybe I'm making that up, but I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know how long ago this podcast was because I don't have that great of a memory. It is very possible that's something, but that's crazy. So somebody stabbed this girl with a knife. It had semen on it, and she got impregnated.
As far as I recall, and I'm pretty sure that's what was said.
Man, I Google that. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to Google that. But holy shit.
We can after.
We can after.
Yeah,
Sure. I'll do after work, but. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. But yeah, no, the whole thing about it just really bugs me. That's why I had such a problem with I encourage people to go to AA. I encourage everybody to do whatever you're doing and keep doing it. If it's keeping you off of whatever your poison or what your addictions are, then keep doing it if it's for you. But my problem was I would go to AA, everything would be great. And then as soon as God came in it, I couldn't listen anymore. I checked out. And I was like, and you're always going to a church. Right. You're always in the kids class, which weirded me out.
So did you grow up religious?
My parents forced, what am I, Catholic or Christian? I don't fucking remember which one I am. I'm non-practicing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel you.
I don't fucking know.
But yeah, so I mean, I do feel like a lot of times too that can like influence why you're like almost repelled by it, because it's like you didn't have a say in the matter and it was like thrown on you. Like my parents or my mom used to take me to like church like a little bit here and there, you know. We'd at least go for like all the big church days and whatever. And I think that I actually did like some of the like Sunday school or whatever when I was really young.
I did.
But
so much.
I expressed to her, like, I don't know how young I was, honestly, but, like, at a pretty young age, I was like, yeah, like, I don't like this. And she didn't force it on me, and I think that was, like, the best thing that could have happened for me, because it's left doors open, and, like, I definitely do not live my life according to the Bible, and I don't, like, subscribe to the religion,
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of amazing things said in the Bible and a lot of great teachings if you're willing to like look through them and kind of decipher.
you have to decipher
Oh,
it, right?
absolutely.
Because there's all that other bullshit
So-
mixed in between it. But yeah, to kind of answer you was, yeah, my mom would like literally drag us out of bed to go to church every Sunday. I had to go to CCD. I think I got confirmation. I don't know if I did, but I might have. I had to do a whole bunch of shit, and it was awful. I would literally try to sleep in on Sundays and see if like she would ever. And then there came a day where she stopped waking me up, and I was like, "Oh, is it finally over?" And I was so happy.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. And with what I was saying with like deciphering through the religion like type thing, I tend to think the commonalities that religions share with each other are more where like the truth, so to speak, lies.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
a certain amount of things that every religion says.
Right.
And it could just be like universal laws, you know, like be kind to thy neighbor, like type thing. Like it doesn't matter.
Right, but
like
it's
how,
connecting.
Exactly. And I tend to think that the things that all of the books, so to speak, share probably have some resonance of truth to them, or else it's like,
I like that.
why would every culture
single
say it?
one of them
And then I
pull it
feel like
out? Yeah.
religion is almost like all the same but for different cultures. I've had that thought a lot of times. So like that's why like in the Old Testament, you know, it was the white man's Bible, it was okay to have slaves.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I've never
and
read
then you
any
like,
of them.
And
I'll
then
be
like
honest.
the Quran, you know, it's like okay to conquest in the name of Allah, because the Persians and all of them were always conquering for land. So they're like, well, we're not going to subscribe to this religion that we can't live inside of, or we're going to hell. So let's write it in a way that we can do what we want to do and not go to hell.
Let's make it work for me.
Exactly.
Right,
no,
right.
and that's really how I see it. Like they're all like pretty much the same thing, but just with different cultural lenses on them, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
I'm really into like religion, like
Well,
not
it sounds like you've
not into
actually
it. I just like
dabbled
it's
in the books and
fascinating.
stuff.
Yeah, like honestly too, just like a lot of like I hate to say it, but a lot of like videos and stuff, a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like I have like read big sections of the Bible. I've never read it to cover,
No.
and I've never read any other sacred like book cover to cover. So like I pick up pieces, but it's more so just like I have a really good ability to like, my brain's a sponge kind of, like if I hear something, I'll remember it.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Like type thing. Like normally, if it's applicable, like if it's something like
Okay.
where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like it could be 3 years later, it comes up and I'll be like, oh, I remember this video from 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Type thing. So like that kind of helps in a regard, because I feel like I remember this thing and then I hear this thing years later and my brain instantly connects the two together.
Oh, shit.
And it's like, oh, this sounds like that. And that's like how my brain works. Like it's just constantly connecting everything. And it's like the shit doesn't even have to connect. Most of the time it probably doesn't.
Dude, my brain, I wish it worked like that. My brain has dropped so much
I don't know,
information
it can
over the
be-
years.
It can be daunting.
I don't know. I just wish I could remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just have a piss poor memory because I flooded it so much.
So I think that I have a very selective memory that I don't get to select what I remember.
Oh, interesting.
It's
So it's
very
not always
weird.
what you're
It's
into?
not. So it's normally I'm interested in some level.
Okay.
But it's like, it could be random stuff, man. Like it's like, I might be trying to remember how to use like this plugin in my like music program, right? And I like can't remember it from like a week ago. But then some random conversation about like this ancient civilization pops up, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I remember all about these people from like the one video I watched on them. Like it's so weird, and like it's not like I consciously remember this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like something will spark it. Almost like if you like smell a certain smell, you know how like smells
Yes.
super connected to memory,
Smells
and you
trigger
like
crazy
smell
shit.
something and you'll like remember like 10 years ago with this day at this place type thing.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing, but just with words.
That's
Or like
awesome.
an energy maybe. Like it's like if the vibe of the thing is the same, it will kind of remind me of it with like if we're like talking religion wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that sounds like this thing. I don't know. Like
So even though your mom kind of brought you and you were kind of involved in it, when you did psychedelics and stuff, did that like I don't want to say, I don't know, maybe like unlocked a little bit more of your curiosity of it and stuff like that?
I'd honestly say psychedelics made me do a complete 180. I was going down a pretty bad path, getting into trouble. Fortunately, nothing ever too serious that I got caught for.
Yeah.
But, you know, just going down a bad path, probably like, you know, abusing substances I shouldn't have been taking, stuff like that. Just not eating right, not exercising right, not ingesting, not like the right like materials, you know, like just like watching bad content, listening to bad music, just like, you know, just in a bad spot. And psychedelics really just opened up my mind and shifted my perspective about like a lot of things. And I've always been a fairly open-minded person. But I think actually what they more so did was help shed my ego and embrace what like I wanted to feel all along more so.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, well, it makes complete sense, because whenever I take mushrooms and I'm tripping, I get this uncomfortable feeling, and I'm like, oh, okay, what is this uncomfortable feeling? And then it makes me look at this uncomfortable feeling, and as soon as I face it and figure it out, all of a sudden I'm not uncomfortable anymore. Right. So I do believe in that, and it's been helping with PTSD, depression, and we're finding out that SSRIs were all based off of false narrative. That's the new.
Well, they were what? Like I think Prozac, which is like one of the most famous. I think it
and Wellbutrin.
Yeah, I think they proved to be like 1% more effective than placebo or something, which is like that's a. I don't remember the exact number, but it was pretty much the same effect.
I was listening
to
Breaking Points earlier this afternoon, and they were talking about this right here. And what they were saying was in a small cliff note, because I can't recall everything that they said. And what they said was, the basic gist of it was that all SSRIs are based off of a false narrative, is the easiest way I could put it. So like all the...
Oh, so even like you're saying like the way that they're supposed to work wouldn't work, even if it was... Okay.
Nope, never.
That makes a thing.
Never.
I mean, that makes sense.
and they were pointing out how Special K and mushrooms and all these other things are actually helping with all of these problems, but doctors are just giving out all these SSRIs like they're fucking candy, and they're actually fucking people up more. I'm not saying it hurts everybody. What I'm saying is that they're giving them to a lot of people that probably don't need them.
And so
based off of information that's false.
Right. So I feel like there is a really strong thing to be said about placebo.
Yeah.
And like, if someone thinks that this is helping them,
it will.
It will. And I think that if taking a drug helps do that and the drug itself isn't working, great, but maybe take a sugar pill instead of something.
Right. Well, that's what I'm
changing your
saying.
brain
Like that was like the point of it was like, what are we doing? Why are we pushing? It's like the opioid epidemic again, because now you're finding out that this thing that's supposed to help people out of depression and everything else, and it says it's supposed to work. Now they're finding out that documentation that's supposed to be standing behind those pills is actually false. And it's like, what? And I was on them too. I was on Wellbutrin for 20 years. I was on that shit. And it wasn't until I kicked alcohol and looked at myself and tried to figure things out and cleaned myself up, got my diet right, got healthy, did things. That's when it turned around. And that was only fucking, September will be 6 years.
Right. And that's funny. That's right around the same time that I had very similar thing happen. Obviously, like, a lot younger, but like timeline wise, like same year, that's when I had like my psychosis. And like that was like, so I was like slowly moving into, I guess, like healthier lifestyles and stuff, but just kind of not embracing new lifestyle choices as much as I should have been, I think. And that psychosis that I mentioned earlier is like the final nail in the coffin was like, yo, guess what, dude? Your life is gonna fucking suck if you don't learn how to fucking treat yourself well. And I think it was like all the pent up self-hatred I had for myself was like finally releasing out.
I could agree with that.
And like that's like how it felt to me. And it's like a very liberating thing, you know? But then like you said, it's like a reflecting back, it's like almost wild. It's like,
Yeah.
why was I even doing that
Why was I
shit?
even doing that shit? But when we're teenagers, that's what we do. We're reckless. We're not thinking that we're gonna die. We don't even believe
Right.
it could happen to us
Right.
at that point in time. You know what I mean? So you're living recklessly anyways.
Right.
So to just add drugs and alcohol and everything else into the mix, it heightens all of that, and you just do crazier shit than you should, you know? But
Absolutely.
now do you still see things move? Do you see things breathe on a normal basis?
Not on a normal basis, but I will say it doesn't happen often anymore, but sometimes when I smoke, I will get psychedelically high.
Okay.
Like the other day I was over at one of my buddy's houses and he tossed me a dab of some like particularly, I guess, sativa. I don't really like using sativa indica just because everything's
neither.
so mixed, but like as far as what, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was
As far as the
very
label
sativa.
says.
Yeah, very, no,
Which
but
I
it got
don't
me,
believe.
it got me going. And like he tossed me that dab and I literally was sitting there like feeling like I had eaten some mushrooms for like 40 minutes.
Interesting. Yeah. See, like I can wake up in the morning and I go to take a shit and I'll be looking at the floor and it'll breathe. I see that all the time.
It happens sometimes to me.
I'm
it's
always
just not,
curious as to why it.
So also I think part of that could be the shit's just like always kind of happening and our perception level is just not keen enough to like pick up on it. So like, for example, like certain times when I feel like I'm at more like
interesting.
elevated level of consciousness or whatever, like I'll start to see more of like a static over stuff. And I've noticed if I breathe, this sounds weird to someone who's, so if you like focus on that and control your breath and like rhythmically breathe while focusing on the static, it will get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And I attribute that static to be the energy that's moving around us constantly, like the chi, so to speak.
Okay.
And so I feel like that's always happening. But as humans, we can only see such a small bandwidth of like the visible light spectrum. You know, we can't see infrared, we can't see microwaves, we can't see any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that it's highly possible with no scientific documentation to back this up. But I think it's totally possible that like a lot of the stuff that we see visually on psychedelics is going on because it is a proven fact that what we're seeing isn't actually what's here. Like our eyes see something upside down, flip it over, give it to our brain, and then our brain perceives that information and makes a picture out of it. But what we're seeing literally is not even what's there.
Oh, wow.
It's
so
our like perception of what's there.
You're making me feel like I unlocked something in my brain instead of broke it.
No, like, well, that's how I look at it. Because if not, I'm a crazy motherfucker.
Like, I broke my shit, dude.
No.
Like, it's broken.
No, yeah, I
But
always
I
like.
kind of like looking at it that way.
So I say the same thing in like I saw a TED Talk. I wish I remember who did it just so I could shout him out, but I don't for the life of me. But that was talking about like certain mental illnesses and had like a focus around schizophrenia.
Okay.
So around here in the Western world, if you have schizophrenia, you're about as crazy as it gets. In other cultures, if you have schizophrenia, then the healer from the town or the sage or whatever they go by, the mystic, will come to you, seek you out, and you will be trained to be the new mystic.
Oh, whoa. What?
Yes. And it's all dependent on how it's perceived. So if you have people telling you all day, you're hearing voices in your head, you're fucking crazy. You're going to think you're fucking crazy. But if you have people telling you, you're hearing these voices in your head because it's messages from the spirit that you need to convey to the world, you're not going to think you're crazy.
Oh, dude.
And I don't know if you are or not. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying
right.
in one way or another, but back to it's all about perception. These people think it's a gift, so it's a gift. So that's how I choose to look at stuff. It's like, is this voice in my head a demon or an angel? That's my choice. I'll say it's an angel.
Whoa. All right. Huh. I've never heard of that ever. No, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like stuff like that, you know, it's like really like cultural differences in how we're programmed because it's like, we're just like technology. We get programmed from a young age and then we are what we are because of our programming. And it's like, depending on the program like the codes you have in you, so to speak, kind of depends on how you perceive things. And we could be programmed in different ways, so we naturally see things in a totally different lens.
Wow. And instead of locking people up, you would actually have to like dig in and see it, like what's going on.
Like,
and of course, we don't want to do that.
I will say personally, I did have like, after the psychosis, like I had a huge diagnosis list of like, they're like, oh, all this is wrong with you. But I'm like still in my psychosis. So it's like not applicable anymore.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But one of the things that they like mentioned was like, I forget exactly. It was like something with schizophrenic tendencies. Like, and I forget what it was.
I have supposed bipolar-ish symptoms, and I was put on high anxiety medication along with the Wellbutrin, along with an antipsychotic and a mood stabilizer.
Yep. So they were trying to give me antipsychotics and
those are fucking
benzos.
awful.
I didn't take any of the medicine they gave
I
me.
took all the medicine, bro.
So I just had to
take it.
I was so scared of everything at the time. So this is how bad the psychosis was. So like I lost, I think 80 pounds over that summer.
Holy shit.
In like almost a month and a half because I was so scared of the world trying to poison me and kill me that I would only eat foods out of my garden. We didn't have that big of a garden. And the only things I liked in it were hot peppers and cucumbers.
All right, let me
so
back
that was
that
like
up
my
though,
diet
real quick.
for like,
How
okay.
much did you weigh before you lost that 80 pounds?
So at my heaviest, I was 246 pounds.
246. So you went down to 180, 166?
Around there. So right now, standing right now.
So that's actually almost healthy.
Yeah, no, I'm at a healthy weight now.
No.
It wasn't
I'm
healthy
just
how
saying,
I
like,
lost it.
Right, okay. Well, that's what I
it was just
getting
way
at.
too fast.
Holy shit.
That couldn't be healthy. But
That's 3 months. That's a lot of fucking weight in 3 months.
Here's the thing, though. I don't know if I said this earlier, but that was like a month and a half into summer. So it was really in like a month and a half that I lost that weight.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
80 pounds?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I was running like a maniac because running would calm my mind. I could think clearly if I was running.
I've heard a lot
and
of
my
people say
mind
that.
was going so fucking crazy that I couldn't even tell when I was tired. So I could just run for like 8 hours.
What?
Yeah. I would not get tired. I'd wake up the next day and I'd feel like my body was falling apart, but I could do the same thing again. I was just so not in my body that the body's pain just and like exhaustion just like wasn't affecting me in the same way it does normally.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
really
wild.
fucked up.
I run for 15 minutes and I'm like done.
Same. Oh, trust me, dude. If I ran a mile right now, I'd be pretty tired.
Yeah.
Like I'd be pushing to run a 5K.
That
right
moment
now.
in time, it was just.
Yeah, it was like I wasn't even noticing. You know what I mean? It's not like I could push through and persevere on like some Goggins shit. It was like I'm just doing it and it's just happening. And like it quiets my mind, so I'm like keep doing it. So I was just running like a maniac. Like one of my good friends, before I could, like I told you, I wasn't like talking for a while and stuff. Before I could even really communicate again, he was picking me up and bringing me to the gym. Great,
really?
Great guy, yeah. And so my mom was like in communication with him and kind of like, yo, like we need to try to bring some level of normalcy back. And he was just like, you know, confused at first almost, like, because he had worked out with me a lot and like he saw what I was doing in the gym during the psychosis and he's like, holy shit, bro. Like I would go into the sauna and just drip and then like run a few miles, then go back into the sauna, then run a few miles. And like it was just like fucked. And like, yeah, no. So like I can't do that anymore. I'm not like some physical specimen, but like, yeah, I shed a lot of weight fast. I'm sitting at like 145 right now. And like, so I've lost like over 100 pounds. At one point I was down to like 119, but I started like trying to bulk back up because I was just like, I'm too fucking small.
Yeah, 119 is a little
I was like,
too small.
I'm too fucking small.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
skinny. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
so this is not how I'm meant to
It
look.
took me so long to get over 125 that like to be at 155 is just like, I want 10 more pounds, but it's been taking a lot of time to put it on.
Yeah, see, I never had a problem with that. I used to have a big problem with gaining weight. Now it's like I understand my body enough to like, for example, like I got up to like 156 like maybe a month ago.
Oh, wow.
And I just like decided that I was going to like cut back down again. And in that time frame, I've lost 9 pounds.
No shit.
So it's like, it's really like, I just like, we'll go down to eating 1 meal a day.
What are you
Intermittent
eating?
fasting.
What's your diet like?
I mean, well, I'm vegan.
Okay.
So that also came out of the psychosis.
That came out of the psychosis too?
So I was
how long did the psychosis last?
like about a month and a half.
Oh, okay. It was about a month and a half.
Yeah, like that, like the rest of the summer. I was still pretty weird. So it was right before my senior year of high school.
Oh,
I was
wow.
still pretty weird going back to school. I was very like sensitive, and that's not really like, I mean, I'm a sensitive person, but I'm not easily offendable.
Right.
You know, and like at the time I was super just like soft, like just super snowflake. Like,
Yeah,
just
but
like, and like, well, no, yeah, it was just
kind of
weird for me. You know,
understandable.
like I was
Yeah.
like, people were used to me being super social, and at like first couple months of school, I'm like sitting at the lunch table by myself with like earbuds and like looking at the table, and everyone's coming up like, yo, what's wrong? And I'm like, like, don't look at me. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So like, it lasted a while. It's kind of like hard to like even like
No. Yeah.
really like know though, honestly, man, because my perception of time and everything was so fucked up. Because like I said, like in some of my dreams, like I would live a day. And like it was like I was actually living a day. But also time doesn't exist. I mean, time doesn't exist in general, but time really doesn't exist in a dream.
Right.
Sometimes I might live, well, not anymore, but at the time I might have lived 3 nights in a dream. So it's like my time frame from the time is just so fucked and
let's
thrown
say
off. Like it felt like years.
So you would fall asleep on a Tuesday and you would think you woke up on a Friday?
No,
of
not
shit?
at all. I'd fall
okay.
asleep on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I would wake up, live a, like, let's just make it easy. One day from my past, not understanding that I had ever lived past that point.
Oh, okay.
And then
you
I
did
would
say
wake
that.
up
I
on
apologize.
Wednesday. No, you're all good. And then I'd wake up on Wednesday morning just normally, but I'd be like, oh shit. And it's kind of like that, like, oh, I didn't realize that this is where I was in life now.
Holy crap.
Yeah, like
Okay.
really. So like that whole thing like drastically changed my perception of the world, because I was like, okay, we definitely don't know shit, because that is just as real as like real life. Like this
Yeah,
is
that's true.
fucked up, bro.
It's true.
Everyone who I like have said this to is like, oh, whoa. But like in my head with how real some of my hallucinations were, I literally think it's a 50-50 that I'm actually here right now, or I'm locked up in a mental hospital hallucinating everything that has happened since that time. No idea. I choose to live it as though it's actually happening, but with how real some of this shit was,
Right.
I really am like, we don't know. Like I could have already died 50 times in this life. Like I'm at that point where I'm just like, I know
interesting.
nothing.
That's so wild.
Yeah, it's-
because I'm here right now.
Yeah,
You
no,
know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
like, I feel
yeah,
very
yeah,
here,
yeah,
but like
but
with just some of the things, like with
That's
some of the, like,
crazy.
I really thought I was there too.
Okay.
In the days from my past, you know what I
Right.
mean? I could feel temperature, because that was actually, so this is how this is so tapped, but I picked up a trick from Inception with there's tops that, or whatever that they spin, so they can tell if they're in the dream world or not. The only thing I couldn't feel, it's funny I brought up temperature, because that's the only thing actually I couldn't feel. I could feel like bodily sensations and stuff, but if I touched something, there would be no temperature. That took me a long time to realize. But then like I always have a chain or something on me, like some type of necklace. Part of the reason that I have had one on since that is because it's something to hold. I can feel temperature in this. So when I got to the point where I would start checking, like, oh, do I have that? No, I don't. I'm in a dream.
What?
Yeah.
That's like isn't that like
It's a super Inception-y, bro. Like it
there's
sounds
like a knocking on the door or something. If you couldn't knock on the door, you would realize you were in a dream or something. Isn't
yeah,
it
it's like that's like a lucid dreaming type thing,
Okay,
right? Like,
yeah.
like, yeah, if you can jump off the roof and survive, you're in a dream.
Well, most of the time,
Don't try it though.
Yeah, most of the time, if you jump off of anything in a dream, you wake up pretty quick.
Yeah, no.
So, but like I've always heard of like going into a dream and then you would try to like grab something or knock on something or do something, but
And
I
it will
have
react
never,
differently. But yeah, no, literally it was like I've had that in dreams, because I've had lucid dreaming happen in the past. Like as a kid, I would lucid dream like very often, where I just like would do whatever I wanted in my dreams. And that landscape was different than the landscape I was in during the psychosis. During the psychosis, it's like I could knock on this, it would knock.
Oh.
I could walk through doors and go outside. I could do anything. Like literally, I think the only thing, or maybe I'm like, just like I didn't notice anything else, you know, but the only thing I ever noticed being any different from the actual reality is temperature.
Wow, that is so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like weird, but I'd still feel temperature in my body. I couldn't feel temperature in like objects. Like what I was saying, I could feel like bodily sensations still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I
That's
could
so
still feel
wild.
like my body. So like if I touched my arm, that wasn't a good test. So I'm like, oh, I need something on my neck. You know, like I need something else close by.
So now you go to
grab.
sleep, you got that around your neck, you know, you go in.
And
you're
like that doesn't happen to me anymore. Like I want to stress like
No,
this
we're
was
reflecting.
like, yeah, exactly. And then like also like sometimes I feel like weird even really like delving deep into this stuff because some of the shit to me even just sounds so fucking absurd that it's just like
woo-woo.
yeah,
Hello,
exactly.
woo-woo.
Like it's like exactly. And it's like I really tend to be a logical person, but there's some things that I just can't find logic for that I've experienced.
Well, there's just some things in life that you just can't explain, and that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, but that is still a wild fucking
dude,
thing
it's
to have
crazy.
happen to you. That is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just really grateful to be, like, pretty normal now. Like, I'm definitely cooked. Like, I'm definitely, like, you know, like, I'm into stuff that's, like, not a lot of people are into and whatever. And, like, I guess, like, I don't know. But, like, I'm pretty normal compared to where I was at, and I'm super grateful for that. But I'm also, like, extremely grateful for the psychosis itself because, like, it was really in my mind living in hell for a month and a half or 2 months or whatever that felt like an infinity. But the thing is what, you know, when you get through the other side, like persevering through that, like, and who it made me, it's like I don't know what other experience could have done that so rapidly.
And no matter what, it made you a little bit stronger, you know, to come out of that and to...
Absolutely. So, like, are you familiar with Hamilton Morris? Like Hamilton's
The name sounds
Pharmacopoeia?
familiar.
Okay,
Huh?
so he had an awesome show, Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Okay.
And, like, he has a great podcast and everything, and he just talks about, like, the pharmacology of, like, different drugs, and, like, he'll talk to, like, different chemists and stuff like that about how the drugs are synthesized and made and all of that stuff. Really cool. But he actually said one of his friends, the first time they tripped on acid, or first time he ever did anyways, his friend got, like, stuck in it or whatever. You know, he went into an acid-induced psychosis and had a very similar experience to what I had.
Oh, wow.
He is still fucked.
What?
He's still fucked.
He never came out of it?
Hamilton said he came out of it, but no. Like, he's
Oh.
very, very off. Like, you would know, like, something happened
The
to this
very
dude.
first time he tripped?
Very first time.
Holy shit.
That Hamilton did anyways. I don't know if it was his friend's first time. But yeah, and he's like a huge psychedelic advocate. And I'm like, dude, how could you watch one of your best friends go into a psychosis your first time tripping and just be like, I love this?
Yeah, right? That is
So
fucking
wild.
intense. I have to say, anytime that I did acid, I was always worried of whether or not I was going to get stuck. Because I knew a couple
I never had
people-
that fear because, I mean, like, obviously there's a generational gap, but, like, I feel like I didn't get quite as much of the fear mongering, you know what I mean? But then, like, also, and, like, propaganda about it. But also, I was just in such a, like, I don't fucking believe, like, society in the world and science and shit at the time that I was like, you're just trying to scare me from taking this. Like, I was looking at it like as like, oh, they don't want me to know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want me to take this. And that's honestly probably, I think, part of the reason maybe that psychedelics are illegal, because if everyone had taken psychedelics, this society wouldn't really work how it does now. And
Probably.
they don't really want that.
Yeah, my parents were just like, don't do acid, don't do this. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And then we heard of people getting stuck. And then I witnessed a friend do it. And then I was just like, well, if I just stick to what I do and maybe lower my dosages, maybe I'll be fine. And this was before we even could get our hands on mushrooms or anything like that. I mean, that was like unheard of.
So psychedelics, the first time I ever took, well, no, the first time I ever actually like seriously tripped on mushrooms, I was just trying to like be like, oh, let's get high, let's see some cool stuff, whatever. instantly realized that's not what it was. Instantly realized how much deeper it was from my first profound trip. And I instantly started using it as a tool for like progression and like diving into myself.
Oh, wow.
Like the first time. And probably I was tripping on mushrooms at first exclusively. And then I found some good acid. So I started taking acid. And the first time I took a tab of acid was honestly one of the first times in my life that I was like, oh, I feel at home. Like my whole life I had this feeling when I was in my house, no matter where I was like, I don't feel like I'm in the right place. Like, I just don't feel like this is right. Like, and like I had told my mom when I was a kid, like I remember multiple times, like, I want to be at home. Like, she's like, you are home. What do you fucking mean? And like, then like more word or less words, whatever, a lot nicer way of saying it. My mom's to say it. But yeah, no, the first time I really tripped on acid, I literally had this feeling of just like, welcome back. Like, you're home now. And that was like the first time I had like felt that type of like just loving embrace.
Yeah, no.
So like, I feel like psychedelics for me, like, not to sound corny or whatever, but like if there is a divine path, they were definitely in mine. You know what I mean? Like they made sense for me. And like, I'm like very sensitive to psychedelics. Like, it does not take a lot to really put me far out.
That's not really that shocking after hearing that story.
Yeah,
I would pretty much, because like when I'm actually the opposite. When I got into psychedelics, I did a lot of acid. I got into the gel tabs, the liquid, sugar cubes. We were fucking putting it on everything. And then I found mushrooms, and that made me feel like I was at home. That feeling of, because the acid was always, it was out there. I got to a point where it didn't even matter how little I would eat or how, like, I could lower my dose, but it would always wind up being just like this awful experience at a certain point.
Acid ended up bringing me to that point, and I didn't stop taking it, and I think that's part of the reason the psychosis happened. So yeah, I started going down the rabbit hole, and like it was like I could take, like you were saying, I could take a quarter a tab, a half a tab, 5 tabs, didn't matter. It would instantly bring me back to the same place I left off on the last trip. And that's actually crazy you say that, because I've had so few people feel me on like when I say that.
Dude, no way.
But yeah, no, so it kept bringing me back there, but I was like ignorant and also just overly curious. You know, curiosity killed the cat. I was like, okay, I keep ending up like at this place. Let me see if I can get deeper though.
Oh, wow. So you pushed
it. I was chasing the rabbit,
Once
man.
I got uncomfortable and I spent a few trips like fucking hiding in a corner, and then I found mushrooms, and mushrooms made me feel warm and fuzzy. And I was like, oh, well, this is a different way of doing things. But eventually, when I was in my 20s, those led me down the same road. But it wasn't as dark of a road. And then it was like, okay, I got to let go of psychedelics. And then it wasn't until probably about 6 or 7 years ago, right around the same time I started jiu-jitsu, where mushrooms started poking up again. Yeah. And then I was like, all right, let me see what this does. And then it was like, oh, I'm not going back to where I was, but it's also been 18 years later. My mentality's different. Everything's changed. And now I'm not using them to crack open glow sticks and do all this.
And that's a huge part.
You know what I mean?
That's a huge factor.
I was taking them, and then I was like enjoying anything going on, or I was being outside, I was being in nature, and I was enjoying them. Instead of using them as a party trick.
So I think part of the reason that like, I think how you use psychedelics drastically like affects the outcome.
Yeah, I believe
and I think part of the reason that like I got really into going deep is because the mushrooms, you know, sparked my curiosity, pulled me in a little bit. And then once I got acid, like I started taking in between 2 to 4 doses. Like on Friday nights, I'd take like 2 to 4 doses after my family went to sleep. And I'd just sit in the living room in the recliner in like darkness and just like close my eyes and like think and like try to dive deeper and stuff. So I feel like that, like having that intention as I want to like go as deep as I can go, I feel like led me as deep as I could have gone, but at the same time resulted in, you know, the psychosis and all of that stuff.
Right.
So like, I think with psychedelics, that's a huge thing that some people like don't really put as much stress on as they should. Like,
no,
your intentions I mean, in everything in life, your intention's huge. But when it comes to psychedelics, your intentions are damn near everything. Like,
Right.
you want to set your intentions, what you want out of it, the benefits you want from it, like how you want the experience to go, and that will drastically impact it. But if you're like, I'm just trying to get high, they might just get you high, or they might, talking of them like they're an actual person, they might get mad at you and smack you in the face and be like, what the fuck are you doing trying
curled
to...
up in a ball on the floor, and...
They're like, bro, you ate an eighth of mushrooms. What are you doing trying to fucking look at glow sticks right now?
Exactly.
Like, they're like mad at you.
Right.
Like, and that's like, that's the one thing, like, some people don't like this about mushrooms, but this always pulled me to mushrooms, is acid, I feel like, and this is a weird way of putting it, but I feel like acid kind of amplifies your own consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And then mushrooms do that, but also I feel like there's a secondary consciousness there, which is the mushroom's consciousness itself, which, like, to someone who hasn't taken mushrooms, that sounds kind of crazy, but it's literally like you hear the mushrooms talking to you.
To go off of that, I'll agree, because I feel like when I was tripping on acid, it was just for the fun. It was for it was all me. But when I ate mushrooms, I felt one with nature. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be in the, with the trees, and I wanted to be on the lawn, and I didn't get that with acid. Acid didn't drive me outside. It drove me inside, and with glow sticks and all this other shit. So I believe that to be true.
I heard one, and this, I don't know who originally said this. I've heard a few different people say it, but there's like a saying that acid is like Star Trek and mushrooms are like Lord of the Rings.
Oh, interesting.
Right? So acid's like cool lights and sci-fi, and like it will open your mind up. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%.
And like you'll see like, like all kinds of cool colors and everything like that. But mushrooms, it's like, it's a journey. It's like, some magical shit is happening. Like in Lord of the Rings, there's some magical shit happening, but you better strap in for like a journey, because you're getting taken on a journey.
Yeah.
In Star Trek, it's like, it can kind of take you wherever. It's not like this long drawn out journey that you're like brought on.
Ooh.
It's like, just like cool colors and stuff. And I hate to, like, I'm not trying to, I guess, box acid in. It's
these
just
are our
cool
personal
colors.
experiences.
Well,
It's
but
fine.
like also I've had a lot of evolution through acid, so I'm not saying it's limited to that.
Oh no,
but
course
it's just
not.
like it tends to lean slightly more in that direction.
But I'll tell you, these days I don't even really hear about acid. I hear more mushrooms than anything today. I don't really hear a lot of people taking acid anymore. Maybe it's just my age bracket.
I was thinking that it might be, because I definitely still have plenty of friends who love acid over mushrooms. But
really?
Yeah, but I think it's a lot of my friends who, like, maybe they play guitar and they play in a band and they like to take like a half a tab and like jam with their band for practice.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Or go to a gig or something. Like, it's not like the same type of trippers. I feel like I feel like a lot of people who are eating mushrooms, and it makes sense why at an older age there would be more people drawn to mushrooms, because I feel like mushrooms catalyze evolution in a way that acid can, but doesn't necessarily.
Okay.
And so I feel like that's, if you're trying to do self-work, that's more appealing to you. But if you're trying to chill and have just like slight visuals and like feel light and airy, it's like, well, you don't want to risk having the weirdness of mushrooms. Like, even on a microdose, like I microdose on and off. And like sometimes when I microdose,
I love microdosing.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll be blissed out, but sometimes I'll be like super anxious and I'll have to work through it. And that's the thing with mushrooms, you don't really know. And I feel like people who microdose LSD report a lot more of consistency.
Yes. Yeah. Because Ben Greenfield used to, now he doesn't do any of it. I guess he's stepping away from herbal medications, but he was doing liquid acid, and he would put it in this thing, and then he'd add so much, and it would dilute it, and he knew exactly what this was going to do, and he would use it for working out and doing stuff because you could go further.
So, and here's I have a conundrum in my head. So there's, I just like don't really know how like to word what I'm saying.
No, that's fine.
Actually, my brain space. My bad, bro.
No, you're fine. You're
Keep
fine.
it rolling.
No, you're good. I mean, it's it is what it is. You know, some people want to step away from it. Other people want to dive into it. But I think if you're going to do any of this stuff, just use caution.
I remember what I was going to
stupid.
say. So what I was going to say is the one thing I love about synthetic, you know, like acid compared to mushrooms, like, and not to say that they can't make synthetic psilocybin, because they absolutely can and do. But the one thing that I like about the synthetics is you can control your dose very precisely. The one thing I don't like is you're missing out on so many active alkaloids that are in that medicine that you're not getting that have a synergistic effect.
Okay.
So like, you know, mescaline is the main compound in peyote.
Yep.
And I'm forgetting the exact number, but I think there's something around 500 compounds in it.
Oh, wow.
That also affect you. So it's like when people reduce it down to the mescaline and put that on blotter paper, which people do, and just take the mescaline, it's a lot different experience of if you just take the peyote itself.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Kind of like ayahuasca to DMT, right?
Yeah.
And then even like, I mean, I haven't done 5-MeO, but like 5-MeO versus like DMT.
Right.
Like it's like just like different like levels. And it's like, now I don't know specifically if 5-MeO also has other active compounds and alkaloids. It would kind of make sense to me that it does, but I just don't know.
I would have to say I do not know much about the DMT side of things. I've wanted to try it, but have not had the opportunity.
You know what's the funny thing? DMT for a while, and even like right now, like after my psychosis, there's something like just daunting about like a 6 to 7 hour or 8 hour, whatever it is, trip. Like I'm like normally around like 4 hours. I'm like, I've been here before. Like I'm kind of ready to go back. And it can get kind of scary. Like I'm like, oh, am I stuck in this shit again?
I have not gone on a like 6 or 10 hour trip in forever. I think I keep it very low dose.
Yeah.
Because of my fear.
So
I still have it.
So that's what I'm saying. So my fear isn't of going deep, right? Because I've been as deep as it gets and I made it out. Yep. Or as deep as I think it gets. It could get a whole bunch deeper. I don't fucking know.
Probably.
But I've been deeper than I foresee myself going again, because I'd never take that big of a dose again. But the thing is like, I don't know, like, I kind of want that profound remembrance, right? So it's like, right. I don't want to take the dose that will make me trip for 10 hours or 8 hours or whatever it is, but I want to get the same lesson out of it and the same remembrance of that information that you can only achieve from taking a certain size of dose. So what's really attractive to me about DMT is that you reach the same depths, but it lasts 10 to 15 minutes. So it's like I can get in and get out and come back profoundly different, but I don't have to worry about like, you know, I'll make it through 15 minutes of hell, whatever. I'd rather it be 15 minutes than, you know, 6 to 12 hours. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Like, so it's like, that's my logic on it. And like certain people, like I've told, like I'm most comfortable tripping on DMT now, or like, look at me like I have 3 heads, you know, they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no, but dude, it's like, I've had DMT-like trips off of both acid and mushrooms where I was fully pulled out of my body. The only difference is those will last like 2 hours of being out of your body versus like 10 minutes.
Right. Well, that's what I was just going to say. DMT, if you smoke it or if it's in the vape pen, that's only like 15 minutes.
Right.
Where the ayahuasca is like a fucking 12-hour journey.
But the ayahuasca, from what I've heard from people who have taken it, is like less abrasive in some ways than like freebase DMT is. So because you ease into it. Like the one thing that a lot of people who I've talked to who like do have like hesitancy towards DMT over other psychedelics, the one thing I feel like people don't like about it is that you go from 0 to 100 like really fucking fast.
Yeah.
That's actually what I like about it, because the weirdest part is like the come up for me. Like, and that's like normally where like I'll go wrong is in the come up, and that will like ruin my trip because I'll get like those anxieties and stuff that are just
Yeah.
naturally part of it. You know, you're shifting your level of consciousness. It's going to naturally happen. Your body's like, oh, what the fuck's going on?
One of my favorite parts of taking mushrooms is all the colors and everything
Yep.
just gets bright and your vision gets kind of sharp.
Yep. So I love
know?
that
I
part of
love that.
mushrooms, but I like just don't like the feelings of the come up. So I'm like, oh, so I'm just going to get catapulted into the middle of
Right.
the ocean? Okay.
That's what intrigues me about DMT is
Yeah.
like, oh, you get me right there. You're going to
Right.
put me right there. And then I'm going to be back in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
And I will say the weird thing about DMT is how much it trickles into your life, though. So, like, if you take mushrooms or something, yeah, you might have it trickle into your life a little bit in the sense of like new perspectives, new this, new that. After I smoked DMT for the first time, it was like everything was lining up for like 2 months after. Like it just seemed like I saw, like, it was so weird. I don't really know how to like explain it, honestly, but it was kind of just like everything made sense in a way that like it doesn't normally. And like I understood why stuff was happening on a level that I didn't normally understand.
now when you were doing DMT, I had a friend tell me about his DMT experience, and he said he would take it and then he would get to this point and then all of a sudden he would fall back. But then he would smoke it again, and he would try to get to that point again and then go further. Did you have experiences like that where you kept going into the same experience almost over and over again to get further?
I know plenty of friends who have had those experiences. I personally haven't because I'm like, my thought on it, and like, this could be right, could be wrong. I don't know just how it works for me. Whatever the experience is meant to be is what it is on the first dose. And I don't like to chase after things because I feel like it's disrespecting the compound, so to speak.
Interesting.
Like, it's like, okay, if that's what you wanted to show me for tonight, that's what you're showing me for tonight. But I don't want to like...
Oh, so you're not like, I got to go see that again,
No,
like that
no.
type of
I'm like,
situation.
I
Okay.
appreciate it. I like, you know, might thank... Sorry.
No,
I
you're
might
good.
thank the compound or whatever for like the experience. And then like... That's that. Like, you know, I'll try to integrate it into my life.
But did you ever smoke it again and then kind of get back into that same spot?
Oh, you're saying like at a later date.
No. Just like my friend was doing it kind of back to back.
Yeah,
for a
see,
little
that's
bit.
what I'm saying. I don't do it back to back.
Oh, okay. So you would do it, you have your experience, and you're done.
Yeah, until the next time I'm going to use it. Because I just like look at it as like whatever that experience that I was looking for. I also normally feel fulfilled. You know, like I feel like, oh, I got out of this what I was looking to get out of this. There's no need to push the waters. But also I think that like because of the psychosis and other things that have happened in my life, I feel like it's kind of taught me moderation, you know? And like I'm like, DMT is great to use time to time, but I've had some friends who use it really often, and it can definitely make you really fucking weird.
Oh, okay.
And
All right,
like-
so it has the same effect as all hallucinogens.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Psychedelics.
just like,
Interesting.
I don't know. It's just a personal thing. Like there's nothing wrong with taking it multiple times, and there's a reason that you can because it's already in our body, so it processes out so fast you don't build a tolerance to it type thing.
Right.
So you can just instantly use it again. And like I've watched people do that, and I have no quarrel with it. Just for me personally, I just don't ever find the need. And maybe I'm speaking too soon, you know, never say never. Like maybe one time I will do DMT and be like, okay, that was great, but I think that I was meant to see more, and I'll smoke it again. Maybe, you know, It just hasn't happened yet. I like the first time I went into DMT, I didn't even like fully blast off, but I still felt like I got everything I wanted out of it. And my buddy was like, you want to smoke more like later in the night? And I was, no, I'm all good. Like, I think I got what I needed. Like, I feel good about it. There's no need.
That's pretty cool. I think I need to think of things like that more. You know what I mean? I'm like, because I was thinking more like my friend. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, I want to see what it is. And then if I can keep going back in and keep making that story continue on, that sounded pretty cool. But I like your
So I think
look
part
at
of
things as well.
I think part of it for me is like I said, I'm pretty into like spirituality and stuff. And I do believe in like these compounds being on some level or another, like divine or like conscious or however you want to call it. Like, I believe that there's something more to them and the energy to them of just like it's a key that fits in this receptor in our brain, so we have this experience. And it could just be that, you know, it could just be all synapses, like reaction, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But how I feel from my experiences is that it's something greater. So like I try to treat, and wasn't always like this, but now I try to treat psychedelics with like an extreme amount of respect and gratitude and appreciation for them. So like I almost feel like it's like a slap in the face to the DMT to like be like, okay, you
Smoking
just
it
showed
like
me
a
all this
crackhead.
shit, but like, fuck you, I want to see more shit.
Okay.
And like, that's what I used to do with acid.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's
me
what
too.
led me into deep waters that I like made it out of, but like was looking pretty dicey for a bit. So, you know, I'm like,
you disrespected it and
exactly.
it took you for
And like,
a ride.
and that's also just like, whether it's like, you want to look at it as like, it's like sentient or anything like that. It doesn't really even matter. It's more so just like an easy way to word it, right? Like you want to respect the drug. Like
Yeah.
it's just like we're used to talking about people as people. So it's like a lot of times I'll talk about inanimate things as if they're people just because it's easier to convey what I'm saying. And like when it comes to psychedelics, there's like inadequate, like the English language is just inadequate to describe psychedelic experiences. So like it makes it easier to like try to use metaphors and
Right, you know,
analogies and shit.
it does because it's some of the trips that I've had, you're just like, you can't.
Yeah, like what do
don't
I?
even-
And like the weird thing about that too is you can explain the experience perfectly to someone else who has had the experience.
Yes, you can.
But if it's someone who hasn't tiptoed in the waters, they're never gonna understand. Like
No, they
one of
just
my
look
buddies,
at you
dude-
like, "Ooh, what are you talking about?"
So my group of buddies all, for the most part, started tripping together around the same time, except for one of my buddies who was like, had a very promising like hockey career going, and like he ended up getting a bunch of injuries, so like he had to stop, but you know, was getting like D1 looks and all that stuff, and like was looking pretty good. So he was like, yeah, I'm really interested, but I just think I want to hold off because I don't want to have like this profound realization and then be like, oh, I'm not supposed to play hockey when like I have like real potential to do that. I'm like, makes total sense, bro. Like, do it when you think the time's right.
Yeah.
So he started later, but I would always talk to him about my trips just because, you know, we love talking and he's an intelligent kid. I'm like, he's picking up on what I'm saying, you know, and he felt like he was. I felt like he was. Then he tripped for the first time. He literally hit me up the next day and was like, bro, it all makes so much more sense. Like, he's like, I thought I got what you were saying, but I did not get what you were saying. Like,
but I got what you're saying now.
Yeah. He thought he did the whole time, but then he realized once he really got what I was saying, he's like, no, I did not know what you were saying.
Yeah, and that's what we say about a lot of things is like, you know, even today when you know, people are making laws and all this other shit, it's like most of the people doing that have never even touched anything. They have no idea what they're blocking, you know, or making illegal. They just don't know, and they they listen to the stories, you know, like my parents used to tell me, don't do this. Now, I smoked mushrooms once.
That's not going to do anything, first of all.
I was tripping.
Placebo?
I don't know. I was already on acid, but
It was the acid.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. But here's the thing: my girlfriend's little brother at the time was not on anything, and he came into the room and he smoked those mushrooms and he was tripping.
So,
Now,
I mean, I'm not the type to say that didn't happen to you, because if you experienced it, you experienced it. You know what I mean?
And that's fair.
But like, from a scientific standpoint, my understanding on it, that's not a thing. Because
Really?
so like, there's a reason that like you don't even want to use too hot of water when you're brewing shroom tea. Honestly, the proper way to make shroom tea, and I'm putting y'all on the game because most people don't know this, but you want to use ice cold water. You put the ground up mushrooms into this ice cold water. The ice cold water actually helps to remove the psilocybin and psilocin. It will change the water from, you know, a clear color to a dark, dark blue that we recognize with psilocybin.
Yeah.
And then you can then add that into a tea. But I recommend brewing the tea ahead of time, letting it cool just a little bit, just like to the point where it's comfortable to drink. You know, you don't have to let it get lukewarm, but just not boiling water.
Right.
And then add it in, and that's how you preserve the most possible alkaloids. And like Paul Stamens I remember talking about that one time, maybe on Rogan. I don't really remember, but he was saying you can make ice cubes with them. And he was like, it's great for a Woodstock, Woodstock. You just throw the ice cubes in someone's drink and you're all tripping.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
Holy shit.
The proper way to extract psilocybin and psilocin is actually with cold, but most people use hot because heat in most reactions is a catalyst.
So maybe the whole experience with the smoking the mushrooms, even for him, was placebo.
So here's my other question. Has he tripped since then?
Oh, I don't know. We don't even talk
Okay.
anymore.
So what I was going to say is if he had never tripped before.
Well, no, he tripped with me a couple times, but
After the fact?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wish that because you probably didn't think to ask him this, but I wonder if he still would have been like, yeah, I was tripping.
Oh, I
honestly
here's
my thing,
wish I could tell you, but
right.
unfortunately.
No, yeah. No, I get it. But
the younger brother stuck with his sister. You know what I'm saying? I don't blame him.
But yeah, no. So kind of what I was thinking is when you smoke damn near anything, you could roll up a bag of green tea. If you smoke it, you will feel something.
Okay.
Because you're at least depriving your body of oxygen at the very least.
Oh, okay.
You're at least you know what I mean? You're at least putting smoke into your body. It's at least going to probably make your head have a slight rush, a slight feeling. You know what I mean? There's a lot of smokable herbs that are non-psychoactive that you still feel. Even CBD, right? If you smoke CBD, it's non-psychoactive, but you still feel different.
Yeah.
And he could have smoked that, not known what tripping was, felt this, mixed with the little bit of placebo, and is yeah, bro, I'm tripping.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at. It was I was already on acid.
Right.
Two of my other friends were already on acid. We were all tripping balls. So we smoked the mushrooms because I was like, this is a great idea, of course. And then he comes in and he smokes it, but maybe he wasn't tripping, and what actually happened was he had a placebo effect because we were all tripping.
Also,
he felt like he was. Maybe.
Yes. So also and this is not scientific at all, but I've noticed consciousness tends to level out.
Okay.
So I'll explain that. If I've been with my buddies a lot of times, right, where they'll eat 3 grams and maybe I was the trip sitter or whatever. So
okay.
I'm still trying to eat a little bit. So I'll eat a half gram and given we used to always eat penis envy. So that's still a decent,
a decent,
it's decent. You'll still feel it definitely. But we noticed especially with the twins who I make music with, we would all just get to the same level.
Oh, no shit.
I'd pull them down and they'd pull me up and we'd all end up having the same type of experiences on totally different doses. So
wow.
I've never experienced that with a group of people tripping and one person not tripping and ask them how they were feeling. But I could almost see if you guys are tripping really hard, he's kind of picking up on the energy, right? I could almost see it that.
And it's
being
not
a
like
thing.
he hadn't done it before then, so he knew, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. So he had tripped before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I way too young. Yeah, I was having this kid friggin' smoke pot and do fucking acid with me, and he was fucking 12, dude. It was so bad.
I'm trying to think because I always forget how young I was when I started doing shit because it's it seems weird.
Yeah.
I'm no way I was that young. When I hear someone oh, I started smoking weed at 12, I'm that's outrageous. And then I'm oh, wait. I was 12 or 13.
At the time, I was 17.
Yeah.
So there was only a 5-year difference, but still, I was,
if it makes you feel better, me and my buddy me and one of my buddies way back in 5th grade. So we're 9, 10,
yep.
whatever. We're at a family party and his sister who was in college and her college friends were over and they were literally dumping out soda cans and filling them with beers for us. When we were in 5th grade and just got us obliterated.
Yeah, so
it's it's normal shit.
Yeah, we all do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really think... I don't think you can blame yourself for that one because it's also it's if you're friends with the person, you're just you're not looking at it as like I'm a bad influence on them. You're looking at it as like, dude, we're just boys having a good time together.
Yeah, I was just trying to share my experiences.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
them.
Like it was,
or maybe
kind
I
of
was
you.
making him share my experiences. Like I don't know. You can look at it so many different
Right.
ways, but I will say that out of all the things in my past, I'm always like, man, I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but I was like, just don't do it again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Learn from your experiences. Well, so what's up with this snowmobile crash? Before we move on.
Snowmobile crash. So my sophomore year of high school, I crashed. I'll give some lead up first.
Sure.
Me and my dad were going to one of his buddies' like estates, like gorgeous place, right? Like immaculate. I'm not in the monetary class to be in places like that normally, like estate. And anyway, we're up like bumfuck Maine, like past Rangeley Lake, and just having a good night. It was like we were all smoking cigars. I was like, 15, 16 at the time, but they're like, yeah, whatever, like you can smoke them. Like, so we're like smoking cigars and like drinking whiskey. I'm like, oh, this is sick, whatever.
Right? Yeah,
the next day we're going to go out for the whole day and snowmobile, and I'm pumped. Like I've done some snowmobiling, but never on serious trails, like where it's really open. And so we're getting going, and like I was getting comfortable really quick, and like my dad realized, and his buddy who like knew the trails realized, and he's like, yo, like feel free, like you can go quicker, like yeah, yada yada yada, like it's fine. I was like, okay. So I'm like going pretty quick, and like we're meeting up every so often at like checkpoints along the trails.
okay.
Like there's like little trailheads that we just like stop and wait for people, because if you're riding pretty quick, you want to be pretty spaced out. In case something happens, you don't want to, hurt two people.
yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
So we're just flying, and then we get to a trailhead, stop, everyone talks, and my dad's buddy looks at me and he's like, hey man, like this next section is a straightaway. Pin it through here until the next like head.
Checkpoint.
And yeah, and like that's where you should start slowing down. And I'm like, word. So he didn't realize when you tell a 16-year-old to pin it, they're going to fucking pin it.
Holy shit.
So I was going like over 100.
Holy fuck.
And
snowmobiles go over 100 miles an hour?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yep. And I was going a little over 100. And it's like a really, really, really straight trail at this point. So it's like, it's not that big of a deal. But then I see a turn come up, right? And the trails were pretty icy that day. And the sled I was on just happened to get like new carbides, which are just like bottom of the ski, like dig into the snow to help you groove in. So it was like dug in a lot, and I'm going really fast. And there's like a ravine and a turn. And there's like this, like, like this little gully that's probably like 8 feet across. I hop both legs onto one side of the sled and like rip the handlebars, can't get it to turn. It's just like locked in place. It's going so fast, I just didn't even think to
jump
off or anything like that.
Holy
Like
shit.
it didn't even cross my mind, because it's like you don't even realize how fast that's going. It's all good. You don't even realize how fast like it's really happening until you have to react going that speed. And so I see this little like ravine, and I'm like, yo, I need to either pin it and make it over that, or I'm hitting those rocks and I'm dead.
Holy fuck.
So I fucking pin it. I made the jump, but when I got to the other side, I'm so in shock, I'm just death gripped on the throttle.
Okay, yeah.
So I land, don't lose that much speed, then just instantly start accelerating again. And probably like 10 feet after, I just slammed into a tree.
Holy shit.
My back legs, my hands didn't leave the handlebars. I was so locked on. My head hit the tree. I broke my carbon fiber helmet right down the middle.
Oh yeah, thank God you were wearing a helmet.
Oh yeah, you got to, especially when you're going like riding like that. You definitely need a helmet, and it's so cold you want it.
Oh, okay. All right.
But like, yeah, so like broke a carbon fiber helmet, like that's stronger than steel. I mean, it's, to be fair, it's more rigid, so it's easier to crack, but my legs end up like I basically scorpioned up.
Oh,
and
fuck.
Where my, the tension built up in the middle, it just like, I got a really bad compression fracture in one, and then one of my vertebrae like exploded.
Holy
essentially.
Shit.
And then also, I separated 2 ribs from my sternum. that punctured into my lung. So I have a popped lung, 2 broken vertebrae, and you know, I'm down bad. I
Jesus
definitely blacked
Christ.
out for a bit. I don't know for how long. When I came back to, I saw them going back and forth past me on the snowmobiles. They couldn't find me. So I started freaking out, and I was like trying to yell. They can't.
You got a
Can't come to
punctured
me.
lung.
Yeah. And like they just like their snowmobiles are running. They just can't hear me.
Right.
Like I was yelling, but like, yeah, I mean, maybe that's a great point. Maybe I wasn't yelling as loud as
you're
I thought I
definitely not
was.
putting out as much air as you think you
Yeah.
are, dude. With one lung down.
So
Oh shit.
I end up, and this is fucked, I end up basically with next to no control over it, just complete survival instinct kicks in, and I get off the sled in that condition and start trudging through the snow to get back to the trail.
Are you walking upright?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
Through like 3 feet of snow.
Woo!
And then I walk that distance, get over to the top, but like my legs like stopped working, like partially, like,
Yeah, I was gonna
like
say.
they just kind of gave out, like my
well,
body
your
gave out.
fucking vertebrae's damaged.
Yeah. So I literally, dude, like this is crazy, but like literally started like crawling, essentially, like dragging myself.
Yep.
My body gave out, but I was right by the side of the trail and I had orange gloves on, so I put my like glove up as high as I possibly could and just kind of like was
Yeah.
laying there. They saw my glove. That's all they saw.
Jesus Christ.
Fortunately, my dad was a EMTI. He was essentially a paramedic, and all of his friends there were either EMTs or paramedics because it was like the fire department trip, whatever. And I was like along for the ride.
Wow.
So that was very fortunate because we're in bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah.
Like bumfuck. So I'm like yelling and screaming. My dad's freaking out because like I've been injured a lot of times and he's never seen me like reacting like this.
This is bad.
Yeah.
This is bad.
So his buddies are like, oh, he's probably fine. He's probably fine. And then, but I had broken my leg when I was in like 7th grade, tib fib snap. So like
Oof.
pretty bad. And like they twisted around. I like ripped through some, whatever. It was pretty fucked.
compound
Like,
fracture
it wasn't
too?
compound, but
Oh,
it was
really?
like right on the surface of the skin. So it like ripped through some of my muscle. And during that, the most I did was fuck. So like, and his friend who was there, was there when they came
That
for me that
happened.
day, and my dad reminded him of that, and then he instantly was like, oh shit,
Yeah,
this isn't good, this isn't
bad.
good. Yeah, like, because I'm like, you know, just screaming, like, and like I said, it might not have been that loud, but it's clearly like I'm in a great deal of pain.
Holy
So-
fucking shit.
My dad took his jacket off. They slid me onto his jacket and used it as like a stretcher to put me up on his heated seat so I didn't go into hypothermia.
God damn.
Then I waited 2.5 hours for the rescue toboggan to get there, to then drag me another 3 hours back to the ambulance. No pain meds at this point. And then they couldn't get a line started on me in the IV because I was like, my body was in shock. And I was fat at the time. So like my veins are just so deep and like we're on bumpy ass back roads. Like they just couldn't get a vein. So then it's another probably like hour or so till I get to the hospital. So I think it was like 7 or 8 hours before I got any type of pain meds. And then I get to the hospital and I don't even remember the hospital name. And even if I did, honestly, it wouldn't be good to say it because they were trash and I'm definitely shitting on them right now. Like, I get there, dude. Fortunately, my dad was an EMT, you know, and he knew enough to be like, we need to get the fuck out of here. So they know that I possibly have a broken back and they are trying to stand me up to take x-rays.
Shut the fuck up.
They're trying to have me stand up to take x-rays,
What?
knowing damn well I probably have a broken back. So my dad is instantly like freaking the fuck out. And, you know, he was like a Marine and shit. So it's like, it's getting dicey in there. And like, he's
Yeah,
like,
what are they doing? Like, what the
good
fuck?
question. Good question. So they took my original x-rays, but like with his guidance of like how to operate me, which was just a ridiculous thing to see an EMT like telling like doctors like
Yeah.
what they need to be doing. Like that's just like, what the fuck? But then they didn't even catch that I had the punctured lung or the broken ribs from my sternum.
Wait a minute. What? How?
Don't know. They didn't mention
You
it.
must have been having trouble breathing.
Yeah, and I reported that. Somehow they're like, nothing came up in the x-rays. From there, like, you know, my dad starts freaking out, whatever. He's like, we're getting out of here. I get brought to Maine Medical,
Okay.
which is a fantastic hospital, and I have nothing but praise for them. As soon as I get there, they're taking it as seriously as they should be. I'm like in the ICU, like, you know, I have a team of like 8 people around me, like all doing different things. And like, they're, you know, treating it very seriously. They get x-rays, they get ultrasound, and like they do like everything. They're just like, we really want to see what's fucked up.
Wow.
They check it out. I remember, this is just a little side note. It was super funny. One of the guys in the ICU was like, how you doing, buddy? And I'm like I said, like 16 at the time. I was like, I'm just glad to be alive, man. He's literally goes, you're not out of the woods yet.
Oh my God.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. What?
Like, yeah.
Thanks.
There was another woman in the ICU. So like I mentioned earlier, me and my buddies used to like work out a lot, or I think I mentioned that earlier. Yeah. And so like,
I think so.
either
He
way.
brought you to the gym because of your psychosis.
Okay, yeah. So like me and my buddies used to work out like really hard when we were in like later middle school and through high school. So I had a really, really strong back. One of the nurses or like doctors or whatever in the ICU is like, yo, do you like work out a lot? And I was like, yeah, I do. Why? And she's like, your back muscles are like super overdeveloped for someone your age, and that saved your life.
Shut
I was
up.
like, holy fuck. Yeah, she's literally like, with the amount of force that had to have been in this, your spinal cord should be done.
Really? So all your muscles are surrounding the
Just
spine.
bound up so tight.
Wow.
That it like was way better than it should have been. But then the low-key, the scariest part of it, man, was once I get fitted for a brace and everything, I'm probably a week out. They tell me, okay, we're going to have you slowly stand up. We need to mentally prepare you. You're either going to stand up and be fine and be able to walk, or you're going to stand up and your shit's going to shift and cut your spinal cord and you'll never be able to walk again.
What?
Yep.
Holy
So,
fucking
like-
shit, dude.
Like, I don't know, like, I think I like, and I was like, you know, freaked out, obviously. And I was like, can it wait? And it was kind of one of those like things where it was like,
Right.
it's not like this situation isn't going to change. Basically, like, I don't know why it was, honestly. Like, that doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know if it had like been structurally back to a point where they're like, if it does slip, it's gonna slip. But if it, I don't know, like it seemed weird to me, but I'm like, okay.
So it was like, it wasn't, it was do it now, because even if you wait till later, the same outcome could happen.
Yeah,
Is that
pretty
what you-
much.
is what you're saying?
Essentially,
Okay.
like, yeah, essentially. They were like, either like there's enough structural damage here that it's going to be fucked, or there's not and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So like that was crazy, but like it's actually kind of funny and like relevant because we talked about the psychosis a lot. I feel like that was almost like supposed to be my wake up call. Like I had like the near death shit and it didn't happen. So like for my tapped way of looking at things, it's like the universe was like, oh really? We almost killed you and you're still going to keep living like you're trying to kill yourself? All right, well, we'll show you. like, right? So like that's
Holy
how I
shit.
see it. But yeah, no,
Jesus
that story was
Christ.
fucked, dude. And like I you know, I have like chronic back pain still to this day and whatever, but like I'm getting mentally better at dealing with that. And I actually heard, so funny, Bear Grylls on Hot Ones
Okay.
said something, because he also broke his back, which I didn't know. But he said something that like really was impactful. And this is just like a week ago I heard this.
Oh,
But,
really?
yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, said, my daily back pain is a constant reminder of how lucky I am to be alive. And I was like, oh shit, that's how I need to look at that.
That's not bad. That's not
it's
bad
like,
at all.
it does suck, but it's like, I could be paralyzed. I could be dead. Like,
Yeah.
I'd probably rather be dead than paralyzed. So it's like,
Yeah. Personally, 100%. Yeah, but I know there's a lot of paralyzed people out there that are thankful for being alive. But
of course there are. I'm just, and like, you know, if you were in that position, you probably wouldn't feel that way.
right.
But as of right now, me looking at it, I just can't see myself finding normalcy in that way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like, I don't know.
No, I
But
completely
either way,
understand.
I'm like a slight amount of pain in my back is like, or maybe not slight sometimes, but like
Depends on the weather.
Yeah, literally.
It's like my shoulder.
Yeah, but it's like,
sucks.
what is that? You know what I mean? It's
I
an
don't
annoyance.
know. Everybody tells me to take aspirin. I'm like, why? My body's telling me something's going on. I'm just listening to it. It might be irritating, but I'm listening.
So that was actually, you briefly, like super briefly mentioned ketamine earlier.
Yes.
And one thing that I was actually looking into doing ketamine, and the clinics are just way too expensive for how much the compound actually costs, like street value. I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. But anyhow, it's like $1,500 a session for like 0.1. I'm like,
it's
okay.
Yeah.
And insurance doesn't cover it, obviously. But so I've had my back checked out so many times, and so many doctors have been like, dude, honestly, there's nothing structurally wrong at this point. It's just like muscle tension. And then like one doctor brought up that it could like be something as simple as like neuron loop, essentially. Like he's like, your body was used to feeling it for so long that it just like tricks itself that it's still there and it's not. And ketamine, as far as I know, is the only thing to like reset that.
Really?
Yeah. So like that's why it's so good for depression and PTSD and stuff, because it literally like in like super layman's term, like resets the clock.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's almost like a reboot. And
exactly.
Like when your computer's acting up, you got to shut it down, let it boot back up, and then the programs all start running again.
That's exactly what it is. And like without doing extensive research on it, like the how it makes sense to me is kind of like it's a dissociative, right? So it's like we're dissociating for our pain from that time period, and that might give our brain enough time to like realign, if you would, without that neuron loop being there. So when you come back, it's like
is
inactive.
Incredible. I did not know that. Now I want to do ketamine and see if I can get my shoulder pain to go away.
I've never done ketamine.
Oh, I've done it a bunch of
interesting.
times. Oh yeah, I used to do that shit all the time when I was younger. We'd cook it up on the stove.
I
and
feel
get
like
the
when I
white powder.
wanted to do ketamine, I couldn't get ketamine. And then like recently I've been thinking about it again, and like some of my homies were like, bro, I don't know. I've had a lot of friends who have like tried to tippy toe in it and ended up diving pretty deep.
Oh no, you dive deep no matter what you're doing.
No, but I mean in the regard of like frequency of use.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I used to. I mean, I've gone into so many K-holes and they are just so enjoyable. But it's
you like a K-hole?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so
I
like
loved
a
it.
lot of people, that's like the bad trip.
Oh
of
no,
ketamine.
I would be sitting in the chair and all of a sudden everything would just, and I was like, I'm looking up and I'm like, I like it down here.
Oh wow.
Like, oh yeah, I loved it.
That's
loved
wild.
It. Yeah. Fucking.
Because like how people have described it to me, it sounds scary.
Nah, it's like you're thrown down a well and you can't get out.
That sounds pretty fucking scary, bro.
I like it. I don't know why.
He's like, no, it's not scary.
It's not
like
scary.
You're down in a well that you can't escape.
I'm telling you.
How does that
Great.
not sound scary to you?
No, because I'm in a chair.
Okay.
I'm in a chair. I'm in a living room. It's fine. I'm just going to ride this out.
No, but I'm just saying that that's how you chose to portray to me that it's not scary is a little bit wild. Like, that doesn't sound like a joyous day to me.
You sure? No, just... Yeah. Okay, I can understand that. But yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. And now that I've been hearing all these studies on it, they actually have it in a nasal spray now.
That's what I was looking into, and like, I almost want to ask my doctor, but I feel like my doctor is just gonna look at me and be like, "You haven't been in like an office for depression in like 15 years, or not 15, but like 10 years, I think."
Right.
So it's like, even though I've dealt with it still and all of that stuff, and also the chronic pain, it's like I just like deal with shit on my own. I don't go to the doctors often, like for anything.
Yeah, see, I'm
so
always
it's
at
like
the doctors.
hard for documentation, like to kind of like prove, you know what I mean? Like be like, no, like I actually need this, because they're like, well, you haven't been into the doctor for your back in like 3 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, well, yeah, that's because you guys couldn't do shit for me.
Right.
So I've just been living life.
Yeah. It was like,
but it's like, it looks bad. You know, it looks like, oh, this kid just wants some fucking ketamine.
Well, when I was your age, yeah. But when I was your age, like if I walked into the doctors, I had a huge note. Like every doctor had it. I was not allowed to be given drugs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was not allowed to be given any type of pain relievers, and I mean, it was just there for years.
I did a really, really good job at hiding my drug use from like everyone.
Oh no, my parents were like, he can't.
No, like if my mom like knew how, like last time my mom asked me, she's like, so like, what have you taken for drugs? I was literally like, Mom, there's some questions you just don't want the answer to.
That's a fair answer.
Yeah, and like she was like, okay, fair. Like that's all, and that's that.
Do you want this answer?
No, exactly. And it's like there's plenty of stuff that like I feel like I was fucked up so much off of just like anything, because like that almost worked in my benefit though. I never got too dependent on like one thing, because it's like I would just take anything.
Right.
So it's like it didn't really matter. It's like as long as I'm not in my normal mind, word. Like that's how I was looking at it.
That's how I was too.
So I never had like a problem with a specific drug, which I kind of look at as a blessing, because it's like a lot harder to get addicted to a drug when you're just trying to get fucked up off of anything.
Yes.
Like obviously you get addicted to getting fucked up, but I don't know, it's just different. But like I feel like I either did a really good job hiding it, or was just so off all the time from such a young age that like it was just like looked at as that's just how he is.
Yeah. Okay.
Cause like I remember, and this is so fucked up, but like I remember in like second grade, before I even had like a concept of getting high, I broke my arm. I got like, I think like 10 milligram oxys, like, cause I was pretty heavy for my age type thing.
Okay.
They gave me 5s, and then the 5s weren't helping, and they're like, okay, here, take these, whatever. But I like noticed instantly like, oh, I really like how these feel. And not even like they're really helping my pain,
right.
But I really like this euphoria. Not that I knew what it was called at the time, but I really like this euphoria. I really like this shift in perspective. I really like everything about this. And, you know, they're up to, I think I could take like a 10, and then like 40 minutes if I needed to, I could take a 5 or something.
Okay.
And like, I probably only needed those things for the first like 4 days I had them. But like, it got to a point where I just realized I love them so much that like my mom would be like, does it still hurt? Like, and I'd be like, yes, literally from like second grade. So it's like, and I had so many injuries over the course of my life that I always had like drugs. And like at a certain age, like, you know, my parents didn't think I was abusing like the drugs or anything like that. So it's like, I can just have my own bottle. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not actually taking this for pain. So I might as well like save up for a few days and take 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You know, so like, that's kind of like, I feel like it kind of went unnoticed. And even now, like, I think my mom would be shocked to hear that type thing.
Well, my mom won't even listen to this podcast. So she's like, I don't want to know.
Well,
and I'm like,
that's, I honestly respect that. Cause like,
yeah.
That's like, if you don't want to know, don't ask type thing. And that's kind of why, you know, I said to my mom, like, there's some answers you just don't want. And like, that's why she also respected it. Cause she knows, yeah, you're fucking right. There's some shit I don't want to know.
Well, my mom looked at me and she goes, I know what I know. And I don't want to know anymore.
Yeah, she's like, what I know is more than enough.
Right, that's exactly what I got. That's exactly what I got, brother. Oh, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
It's been a great time. Thanks for having me once again.
Once again, go ahead and plug and promote everything.
All right, guys. So SG603 Music, all platforms. For people who don't know, you know, that's Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, anywhere you can find music. We are YouTube. Even if you don't have anything, we still get the monetization, so run it up. And then my tag on Instagram is chef_SG603, and feel free to reach out to me about anything. I love talking to anyone who's interested in our music, or even anyone who's interested in anything we talk to. I really just like connecting to people. So even if you don't think our music would be your cup of tea, feel free to check us out, and we might have some content that you might like. We try to post gems on, you know, like how to live a life that we see is beneficial to not just ourselves, but society, with, you know, like messages of connection, messages of, you know, being loving to each other, even when it's hard to do so, and just connectivity and understanding, you know, we're all in this life together. Like we're all this one organism, so to speak, and we're all in this process of life at the same time. We're all in the same sinking ship, so it seems at times. Like, I don't know, like, you know, we really like to connect to people. It's a big part of what why we do what we do. We want to bring serious change to the world in any way that we can. And even if we're not the ones to do it, as Tupac would say, hopefully we'll spark the mind of the person that does. So, you know, check it out if you're interested. Hope you guys like this conversation.
No, that's great. That's right. Perfect. All right, everybody. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you later.